all to please be seated. We will be starting in the next 2 minutes. A very good morning to one and all present here. I am Shreya Malhotra, a student at IIM Jammu. It is an honor and my privilege to stand before you today at this prestigious roundtable conference hosted here in Mumbai. Thank you to all of you respected dignitaries and industry leaders for being here. The theme of today's conference, Fostering Academia and Industry Partnership, the Way Ahead, emphasizes the critical need to bridge the gap between theoretical knowledge and practical insights. Now, without further ado, it is my privilege to invite our esteemed dignitaries to the stage. Firstly, Dr. Milind Kamble sir, Chairman, Board of Governors, IIM Jammu. Dr. Kamble sir, a civil engineer and entrepreneur, is Chairman of DICCI and has steered and expanded the organization over the years. For his exemplary contributions, he received the Padma Shri Award, India's fourth highest civilian honor in 2013. Next, I'd like to invite Shri Anand Kripalu sir. He is the Managing Director and Global CEO of EPL Limited since August 2021, with over 30 years of leadership experience in global markets. He has previously served as Managing Director and CEO of Diageo India and Chairman of Royal Challengers Bangalore, as well as holding senior roles at Mondelez International, Marico Limited, and Unilever. Next, Shri Lalit Kumar sir. He is the director of Novel Tech Foods Private Limited, where he leverages his extensive leadership experience to drive the company's mission of creating a powerful animal nutrition ecosystem. With the strategic mission of creating a powerful, Mr. Nayak plays a key role in guiding the organization's efforts towards a protein-sensitive India. I would now like to humbly invite Professor B.S. Sahai sir, Director, IIM Jammu. Professor B.S. Sahai is an educator, researcher, transformational leader, and institution builder. Sorry, sir. Yes, sir. Who sets high standards to create world-class institutions with a global outlook and national focus. Currently, he is the founder director of IIM Jammu. Prior to joining IIM Jammu, Professor Sahai was the founder director of IIM Raipur. He was also the director of Management Development Institute Gurugram and Institute of Management Technology Ghaziabad. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Shrikant Barve sir, Board of Governors, IIM Jammu. Mr. Barve sir is the Managing Director of Bell Rice Industries and a member of the Board of Governors at IIM Jammu. As a first-generation entrepreneur, he founded the Barve Group of Industries in 1988, which has since grown into a leading automotive manufacturer. Thank you, sir. Without further ado, I would like to request everyone to light the lamp. Jabe sir, please join us.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युत शङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवै सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा शुक्लां ब्रह्मविचार.
Thank you to all the dignitaries. Now, I would like to request Director Sir to felicitate Chairman, Board of Governors, IIM Jammu. So, now I would like to request Director Sir to felicitate. I now request Professor Jabir Ali Sir to felicitate Director Professor Bir Sahar. Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Professor Jabir Ali Sir, Dean Academics at IIM Jammu, to introduce the Roundtable Conference.
So, very good morning to all of you. Our Chairman, Dr. Milind Kamble sir, our members, Board of Governors, Lalit sir, Anand Kirpalu sir, Barve sir, and our Director, Professor B.S. Hai. This roundtable conference has many objectives. And the key objective is that we are the youngest one, established in 2016. And we have a lot of aspirations. And aspiration is that we need to be a different, altogether different IIM to grow at a faster pace. And in the process of growth, it is very, very important to collaborate with one of the pillars of any business school, that is the corporates. We are based at Jammu, that is the top of the country. And we want to, and that's why it is our responsibility that we need to reach out to everyone to collaborate with, network with, and also have hand-holding and collaboration in all ways possible. And that's why we thought that we'll have a roundtable across the country to also try to create an impression of IIM Jammu in each and every city. We feel so happy to have our logo, our buildings in each and every corner of the country. So we feel very happy when we found that our logo building is there here at, very important business center of Mumbai. And that is what I think our board is very clear about this. The kind of vision which has been given by the board in the leadership of our chairman, Dr. Milind Kamble sir, that we need to really become one of the best business school in a very short period of time. And for that, we should not really just talk about inviting people at Jammu only, but we should also go to each and every place to say that we are here. And we are looking forward to invite you personally in your city to come and visit IIM Jammu. I'm sure that when you'll visit our campus, which has just come up, one of the beautiful, most, modern, ultra-modern facility in the lap of, one of the location that we call Trikuta Hill, where you can have a visit or, you can say a visibility of the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi shrine. You can see the walkway in the night and you'll be amazed the way the campus has been built. Here, we are here also to invite you, that's why. And we look forward to have you in Jammu, in IIM Jammu campus, and host you there. Here in other aspect which we can also highlight in this conference is that there are a lot of ways to collaborate. Through this particular discussion, deliberation in different panels, we can really know each other well. We want to have our curriculum in such a way so that it is aligned with the industry requirement. We also want your hand holding in terms of doing some of the academic program there, in terms of teaching, even delivering courses, collaborating for many other activities. And we look forward to have a lot of that support. In very short period of time, we have got many collaboration in number of ways. We look forward to have and strengthen that a bit more. And I personally wish to invite you all to visit IIM Jammu and give us an opportunity to host you there. Thank you very much.
I would now like to request Professor B.S. Sahai, Director IIM Jammu.
Good morning. Like say, when we're thinking of having this location, BKC, we're knowing this thing. We're just talking that entry and exit, both is very difficult in BKC. But once you're in BKC, life becomes very comfortable. So welcome to IIM Jammu Roundtable Conference. Fine. Respected Padam Shri Dr. Milind Kamble ji, our chairman, BOG. Anand ji, Lalit ji, Srikant ji, my colleague Ame, Javir, Baljit, and my students, and all distinguished delegates and speakers. First of all, I'm really thankful to all of you for agreeing to come to this Mumbai Roundtable Conference. First of all, let me just complete the rituals. Say that I'm really thankful to the chairman and all board members for agreeing to coming to this roundtable conference. So please give them a very warm welcome. This, as Jabir was telling, that this is the youngest time. And if you what he has talked, to believe that you have to come to Jammu. It's a really unique and best part is that Jammu is the only city in the country where 3 institutes of national importance are located. Those are IIT Jammu, IIM Jammu, and IIMS Jammu. And the best part is that all 3 institutions are working together. In fact, we gave a new model to the nation. When national education policy came into existence in 2020, we thought of that we should be doing something which is really meaningful, very constructive. And we started a program, like during Corona, doctors, everybody was really very much concerned about healthcare, health administration. Those who are supposed to be taking care of patients were busy in administration. So we felt that we should be doing something really unique. And we started first time in the country, this program called MBA in Hospital Administration and Healthcare Management, jointly with IIMS and IIT. And it is really running. First batch has just graduated this year, and the outcome was fantastic. Then along with IIT, we started a dual degree program that you do BTech from IIT Delhi, IIT Jammu. Incidentally, I'm from IIT Delhi. That's why this Delhi is very much in my mind. Yeah. So do your BTech from IIT Jammu, and do MBA from IIM Jammu without writing CAT. But there is a rider to this. So it's really very important for all of us. And without mincing words, we need your support. We need your guidance. We need your hand-holding, what Javier was talking about. Like say, Jammu and Kashmir was known for all bad reasons, like all the time in news. And there was a time when Pulwama took place. We were supposed to be admitting 140 students and only 95 joined. Not even a single word. And that year, this chairman, Dr. Kamble had joined, and all board members, and we just decided that, okay, we have to revisit our admission policy. And today you will feel very happy that more than 56% students are female students. So that's a great thing what has happened, that in the nook and corner. And I feel that girls, they prefer to come to IIM Jammu. Let me tell you this thing, there is no law and order problem in Jammu and Kashmir. हम छोटा मोटा काम नहीं करते, वो कुछ बीच में बड़ा पटाखे छूटते हैं, that's a different thing. But fact is that law and order problem, if you talk of, there is no law and order problem in Jammu and Kashmir. Girls can roam around both the places. In fact, in 15th of August, I was at Lal Chowk, and who could have believed that, okay, at 10 o'clock, we are enjoying life there. It is the same Lal Chowk where nobody could have thought of posting flags. Today, life has changed. Jammu and Kashmir has changed. Jammu has changed. We want to be one of the finest business schools in the country. And we are doing a lot of things. In fact, we keep questioning ourselves that what time Jammu is doing something unique. We'll feel very happy to note that for the first time in the country, we set up, because the Honorable Prime Minister said that by 2047, we are going to be a developed nation. We are aspiring for that. At least somebody has given the vision now that yes, by 2047, we are going to be a developed nation. To make that happen, we have to do, and we have to take everybody along. To make that thing happen, we decided to set up a center, first time probably again, Center for Diversity and Inclusion. The center was inaugurated by no other than then Honorable Prime President of India, Sri Ramnath Kovind. And the center is doing just brilliant. We set up another center because all of us here talk about big businesses. We said that, no, let's start a center which talks of small businesses. So how to do that thing? So Center for Small Business Development. And the outcome of that, today I feel very happy to inform you that along with the government of Jammu and Kashmir, government, because we had a detailed discussion with the Chief Secretary of Jammu and Kashmir, and we said that we have to do something for the nation. And employment is one of the major issues, but no government can give employment to everybody. So the idea came that can we generate employment through entrepreneurship? We worked together, had a detailed discussion with this Secretary Skill Development, and they came to IIM Jammu for 3 weeks with the whole team. And finally, one project was launched, a scheme was launched. This scheme is Yuva. Yuva acronym stands for Yuva Udyami Vikas Abhiyan, Yuva. And the project is of 5 years, wherein the idea that we'll be developing more than 1.437 entrepreneurs, which will generate around 5 lakhs job. But the best part is that government has committed a budget of 1,800 crores for that. So this is a small idea which was discussed at length. And I think that this is going to be a role model for the rest of the country, because government has understood that, yes, what can be done. And that's the best thing. Another thing is very interesting, that we have set up a center which is called Anandam. During, again, these are the learnings from COVID, that everywhere there was distress, people were concerned about life. And we started a center called Anandam, the Center for Happiness. And it was inaugurated by Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji, then Education Minister, and then Honorable LG. And you will feel happy to know that besides teaching management, we teach happiness. Happiness is one of the compulsory course across all the programs, whether we talk of MBA, whether we talk of MBA, HHM, whether we talk of executive MBA, whether we talk of PhD program. So so we teach that. And that when we talk of PhD, that reminds me that now it's the time for all of you, that in academics, what happens is that in an industry particularly, retirement is 60 years. In academics, it is 65 years. And if you want, you can, it is extended up to 70 years. And if you're mentally fit and physically fit and mentally alert, you can probably teach as long as you want to. So I think that there is an opportunity for all of those who wants to be a teacher or having some research inclination. You can think of doing this PhD for working professionals. Requirements remain the same. You have to attend classes in hybrid mode. Details you can get on our website, or during tea time we can discuss about this thing. But what's important is that, like say this last center I would like to talk of again, that along with the Niti Aayog and Government of Jammu and Kashmir, we have set up a center called CTAG, Center for Innovation and Transformation in Governance. And this is again a very unique center, a think tank for the JK government. So this, we are appointing CEO for that. It's a very big team. My dear friends, like say, we teach our students optimism, we teach hope, we teach happiness, we teach opportunities. We focus on, like say, because it's really important that all our students should think for that nation first. That's really important. So that is one of the major things what we keep doing this thing. We teach our students to be fearless, bold, never give up on your dreams, because these young great minds have the power to change the world. With these words, once again, I welcome you to this roundtable conference. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to request Dr. Milind Kamble, sir, Chairman, Board of Governors, IIM Jammu, to address the gathering.
वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग। सबसे पहले नवरात्रि की आप सबको शुभकामनाएं। आज IIM जम्मू की ओर से यहाँ पे राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑन इंडस्ट्री एंड एकेडमिया फॉस्टरिंग टाइज, उसके ऊपर हमने यहाँ आयोजित की है। इस प्रोग्राम में उपस्थित my colleagues on the board, Mr. Anand Kripalu, Mr. Lalit Naik, Mr. Shrikant Badveji, my colleague Professor Sahai, Dean Professor Jabir Ali, and respected all invitees from Mumbai, from industry and academia, both. महाराष्ट्र में कॉन्फरन्स हो रही है और महाराष्ट्रासाठी एक अतिशय चांगली आज आनंदाची बातमी आपण आपल्याशी शेअर केली पाहिजे, जी आजच पब्लिश झाली आहे। ती म्हणजे मराठी भाषेला अभिजात भाषेचा दर्जा मिळाला। त्याच्यासोबत पाली, प्राकृत, असमी and Bengali, all these languages also got a Government of India recognized. So वो मुझे कहना चाहिए, बोलना चाहिए। अभी तो हमारा आज half day there is a conference where we are discussing on various issues, subjects, and the outcome will be very helpful for us to way forward. So now today's subject is industry academia. Yes, this is a very much talked about industry and academia, forging the ties, bridging the gap. From so many years, we are organizing conferences. Now it's a high time. We have to come together and we have to work for betterment of our country, because it's a time We are not like a South Pole and North Pole. We cannot work on a silos. We have to create a synergy. We have to come together and we have to work for a betterment. So on this very important subject, we are organized this conference, and also in the light of new education policy 2020. I very closely work drafting and creating curriculum on this policy, and also working with Mr. Kasturi Rangan. So this new education policy, which is a game changer in this country. Okay. What are the best things of this new education policy? Just now Professor Sahai told कि कैसे हमने IIT, IIM और एम्स के साथ हमने अलाइन करके प्रोग्राम बनाया है, जो HAHM, which is a very famous program, collaborated with IIT, IIM and AIMS, where 60% of a syllabus is of IIM, 20% from IIT and AIMS, healthcare part, technology part, and management part. So this is a multidiscipline which allows in this NEP 2020. Multi-entry and exit is allowed, like IPM, Integrated Program of Management, which is we have started, where it's a 5-year course after 12th, but after completing 3 years, you can exit. You will get a degree of BBA. If you continued, you will get a MBA. So like this, which is the beauty of this new education policy, and we are a first institute in the country we are implementing. So aim is to create future ready leaders which will help the industry and to forward our society and to take it for a next level. On this aim and object we are working. Just Professor Sahai told, we are believes in inclusion, we are believing local, we are catering our services to the local region, where so many things we are doing in J&K. So this is our complete aim and object to become an important, and yes, of course, we are national importance institutions, but we want to stand as a torch bearer in so many subjects, in so many issues in this country, so that we are working hard. We are on the way of Mata Vaishno Devi. And just Professor Ali told, from a campus, you will get a good view of a Mata Vaishno Devi is there. So in this Navratri, we are, yes, Mata Vaishno Devi is a blessing showers to our IIM Jammu, and we are here to forge the ties with the industry. Thank you very much for coming in this early morning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. At IIM Jammu, we have come a long way since our inception. Starting with just 46 students, we're now a proud family of 1,100 students. Please allow me to introduce a brief video showcasing the journey of IIM Jammu and the incredible milestones we've achieved together.
We are managed this discipline that whatever activity we do at IIM Jammu, the inauguration we do this.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय जय हे
Please cue the video.
You can sit there now because that's why I was thinking that try to comprise. Yeah.
Is rapidly progressing on the path of development today, and it has made its strong identity all over the world. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is moving ahead step by step. Today, Jammu Kashmir is also making its new identity as a center of education. Jammu is the first city in the country where all three institutes of national importance, IIT, IIM, and AIMS, are spreading the lights of knowledge. IIM Jammu was established in 2016 by the Government of India under the Ministry of Education. This institute started from a building provided by Government of Jammu and Kashmir at Old University Campus, Canal Road, Jammu. Today, the institute has its state-of-art permanent campus with modern facilities in Jagti on the Jammu-Katra National Highway. The permanent campus has been constructed at a cost of more than rupees 500 crore and inaugurated by the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji on 20th February 2024. This state-of-art campus represents a new era of opportunity and growth. The appointment of Professor B.S. Sahai as the first director of IIM Jammu marked the beginning of a new journey, which culminated into strong foundation for the institute under the able guidance of the Board of Governors and the chairmanship of Dr. Milind Prahlad Kambleji. The motto of IIM Jammu is Sa Vidya Ya Vimuktaye, which means that knowledge is one that liberates. The four centers of excellence of the institute give it a new identity. It is the only institute in the country that has started an MBA program in collaboration with AIMS and IIT Jammu. Today, this institute is spreading the light of knowledge and wisdom among more than 1,200 students through various programs. The institute is progressing steadily and plays a pivotal and significant role in fostering the growth of the nation and the region of Jammu and Kashmir through quality education, research, innovation, and socio-economic development of the region.
Finally,
India is rapidly progressing on the path.
I hope you enjoyed viewing our library video as much as we enjoy studying in it. With that, let's now begin with the first panel discussion where we delve into the topic create a future-ready workforce, strategies for adaptation and resilience. To bring this critical discussion to life, I would like to invite our esteemed panelists to the stage. Starting with the moderator of our panel, Mr. Anand Kripalu sir, Managing Director and Global CEO EPL Limited, and the member of Board of Governors of IIM Jammu.
On one side,
So,
right?
please.
Better to sit on one side as a moderator. Center?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have to move my neck both ways.
Next, I'd like to request Mr. Rahul Pinjarkar sir, CHRO Tata Chemicals Limited. With over 24 years of experience in HR across various industries, he has held leadership roles at Trent Limited, Saint Gobain, Novartis, ICICI Prudential, and Philips. Specializing in talent acquisition, change management, and fostering a culture of meritocracy, Rahul is also an active thought leader in HR and organizational development, contributing to forums such as NASCOM and CII. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Ekta Roy Ma'am, Senior Manager HRBP at Cipla. Currently, she's leading HR initiatives for the IPD and the R&D unit. An MBA in HR from XLRI Jamshedpur and a former tech professional, Ms. Ekta has experience in both HR and business units. She has also worked in several industry first initiatives like the Campus Metaverse and the Original Tech Track. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Lucky Kulkarni, Director and Group Head Human Resource Member, G9 Company. Ms. Lucky Kulkarni is a highly experienced HR leader with over 27 years in human resources, organizational development, and change management. She is currently a member of the management board at her company as well. Her expertise has been featured in publications like People Matters and Corporate Citizen. She's also been recognized among the top 101 fabulous HR leaders in India. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Nagina Singh, CHRO, Mondelez International. Nagina ma'am is an experienced HR leader with over 23 years of expertise in HR transformation, strategic change management, and diversity and inclusion. She is currently the CHRO at Mondelez International and has held leadership roles at DBS Bank, Hero Housing Finance, Bharti AXA, Abbott India, and PepsiCo. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. S.K. Dutt, sir, Head HR at GI Infotech. Sir is a senior HR professional with 4 decades of industry experience. He is the current head HR at GI Infotech, Malkovins Group, a UK company. He is a postgraduate alumnus of Oxford University and a senior advisor to UN's UNCTAD Emperor-Tech program in India. He serves on the advisory board of several corporates and premier educational institutions. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Gautam Sinha sir, CHRO at Birla Opus. With a career spanning diverse industry verticals, he has gained extensive experience in HR strategies, policy design, organizational development, talent staffing, performance management, employee engagement, and rewards. Gautam sir has held key HR leadership roles, including at Ultratech Cement and Century Textiles. He holds a PGDM in Human Resources from Symbiosis Institute of Management Studies and an MLL from Symbiosis Law School. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Sameer Shah, Executive Vice President at Capgemini. Mr. Shah is a highly accomplished executive with over 25 years of international experience in consulting, outsourcing, delivery, execution, and strategic planning. Mr. Sameer has built and led high-performance teams, consistently achieving revenue and growth objectives. His extensive expertise spans North America, the UK, and India, with a deep understanding of CRM, integration, and collaboration technologies. The topic for today's panel, creating a future-ready workforce, strategies for adaptation and resilience, has become an increasingly critical in today's rapidly evolving world. Creating a future-ready workforce is vital for organizations to thrive and technological advancements, global disruptions, and for shifting market demands. This session brings together professionals from diverse backgrounds to engage in a fruitful discussion on various key strategies for fostering these qualities in the workforce. So,
Okay, thank you very much.
thanks.
Okay, hello everyone. I suppose I have the easiest role to play as moderator because I ask the questions, right? And it's very easy to ask questions for which you don't know the answer. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. One of my earliest bosses once told me there is a reason why we have been given two eyes. Does anyone know why we've been given two eyes? He told me one to look at today and one to look at tomorrow. All right. And when you think about the topic for today, it really requires us to keep one eye on tomorrow. Now, most of my management life, I spent when changes were small. And if I can go back to a little story about Cadbury, which, my colleague on the dais here, Nagina, is now a part of Mondelez. At that time, it was still called Cadbury. We had this vision of wanting to build a future-ready organization. But what I learned the hard way is, it's easy to say that, but it's really hard to achieve it. And I can tell you, during my tenure in Cadbury, one of the shortcomings, I have to say, of my tenure was that the growth of the company outgrew the growth of the organization. And we soon realized that the organization was creaking. People were stressed, people were overworked, and soon the organization itself came in the way of growth. The other experience I have about change is, I kind of grew up in the early days when there were only Pan Bidi shops and Kirana Walas. There was no Swiggy Instamart, by the way, right? There wasn't even modern trade. There was no store where you could walk in and go and touch the product yourself. There was a shopkeeper in the middle always. And I saw the evolution of modern trade in India, right? Supermarkets. And suddenly we realized that the way and the skills and capabilities of our people in sales was just inadequate. They were ill-equipped to serve the modern retailer. And suddenly we needed to reinvent ourselves. And finally, I saw the evolution. I probably sound really old here, but I saw the evolution of the digital landscape happening. There was a time when marketing was, make a nice product, put up a nice display in the Kirana shop, make a 30-second ad and get out of the way. And sales happen. And suddenly this whole digital landscape emerged. And a lot of people who were working in these brick and mortar companies, traditional companies, said, we need to do a little bit of digital. And soon you realize that the digital first companies ran away with it, right? Because they just thought completely differently. So I think the real change today as we see it, right? The pace of change because of technology and the impact on the workforce is probably a whole new ball game compared to what I have witnessed through my career. And as we navigate the 21st century, there's no doubt about the fact that the world of work is undergoing a profound transformation. And to thrive in this kind of a changing world, unpredictable world, volatile world, dynamic world, obviously organizations have to prioritize adaptability, resilience, and innovation. And I can tell you, from the tenures I have had, it is so hard to change the DNA of a company and make the company agile and resilient and adaptable when nothing changed for 30 years. And suddenly the world is changing every day and you're trying to make people agile. It just doesn't happen, right? Anyway, that's why we've assembled this panel of experts over here to participate in really this conversation. And I'm going to, throw some questions. The panelists have all been introduced. And I've got some questions to kickstart the conversation, but hopefully questions and answers will flow. And many of these areas, incidentally, there are no perfect answers. So really, I think the purpose is to engage in a dialogue and hopefully get a bit more wisdom from each other. Okay, so that's the purpose of this panel. And with that introduction, I'm going to kind of dive into it. And I'm just going to throw open the first question, which is to say, what are some of the shifts that you all are observing in the workforce landscape? And what are some of the challenges that you're facing in your organizations? And if I can just start from that end. You're the gentleman, Gautam, right? Yeah, from Birla Opus, the paint company. Yes. All right. So if I can just, put you on the spot, sure. Gautam, and request you to share a bit of, and yours is a new company relatively.
Yeah.
So your experiences from here or from earlier?
Yeah. Thanks, Anand. So I think, the build up, what you rightly said, that the pace of change is enormous now. And I will just give you my journey. I'm with the group, Aditya Birla Group, for over 19 years, and seen how the global landscape has been built and how an Indian company actually, put a globally and built. And there is a huge dynamic changes. So Birla Opus is a new organization, and I'm there right from the inception of this build up. We are investing over 10,000 crores of capex, as we are talking about. 6 plants are coming, and these are all world-class plants in paints. Nobody has attempted ever globally of this scale and size of massive build-up of the organizations. And this is a consumer-facing business. As we are talking about, in 3.5 years, 3 plants are operational. We have a national launch of Birla Opus, and the build-up and what we are seeing as a future ready organization. This is a classic, experience and build up. So 2-3 learnings. I think investment in technology to be future ready is very key, and core technologies in manufacturing, in your different technologies which are there, you need to have, and those technologies need to sync. Second, which is most important, is what is the values, foundations, and the purpose and the culture you are building on. And I think that's the softer part, which lot of time in the push of your projects which are there, this softer aspect is missed out. So I think that is that we are looking at the culture pillars of agility, vibrancy, care, and these are embedded as experiences. If I look at most of our projects which we have done in Greenfield have been completed in 17 to 18 months, right from the inception. And the credit goes to the various cross-functional teams who have come together and made it happen. So there is a joy of making and building up. That's the important aspect. But how you align individual values and culture to a larger aspect of our organization and build it. Challenges, I think, will be enormous when you build a new organization, because nobody has seen that, what is the future looks like. And, operating organization is very easy to actually, put it across. This is your numbers. This is how you are building up. These are your statistical data for 5 years, 10 years. Here, we don't have anything. So how you build in a chaos where everything is built up from scratch, and be ready in terms of seeing through how things are panning out. And second is that what is your agility in terms of the changes that is happening and how you are actually adopting in the organization. And last but not the least, what is the element in terms of care you are building in the organization with the people, with the employees, families coming together and build up of this organization. So these are some of the thoughts.
Thank you very much, Samir. Sorry, Gautam, but I'm going to come to, you've been in Capgemini for?
6 years.
6 years. So take an organization, Capgemini must be what, 30 years old as a company? About 30 years old. So what is the contrast between, probably when you're shaping a new organization, you can plan for some of these things, and sometimes changing old behaviors are the hardest in the company. How are you coping with this changing environment, and how are you trying to reshape the organization and its culture towards the future?
So I think good question, Mr. Kumar. So for us, Capgemini being a technology company, right? The way it works is the change is constant for us. The way it works is, so I lead the AI group, the artificial intelligence group. Some years back, let's say 10, 15 years back, it was called to be like a data warehouse or the business warehouse, right? And then came big data. Everybody thought of big data as a new thing. And then came cloud, and then everybody thought, okay, cloud is a new thing. And then some years back, Gen AI came with ChatGPT getting launched, and everybody thought, oh, now this is a new thing. So for us, or for any of the technology companies, the change is coming so faster than what it used to come, that we have to make sure that our workforce is always ready, and it's ready to serve what client is looking for. We cannot say, oh, it's a new technology, it's not taught in colleges or it's not taught in universities, right? So we have to make sure that the people who we have, we reskill them fast enough, so they can start addressing the client needs. And the way I look at it is still the Gen AI will settle down in the next 2 years and something else is going and it's going to come up so fast, and it's a disruption world. The technology world is a disruptive world. Things, the way it happens, the moment you blink, there's somebody else who is waiting to take your position. So we always have to be at have your A's game to make sure your teams are reskilling. I think the current mantra in Capgemini is reskilling the people, because we cannot go to market and hire thousands of people on a monthly basis, right? Because if Gen AI is that tomorrow, first thing, I'm not going to get people of Gen AI in the market, or cloud is the market. And so it's better that I use my own people, train them, and go ahead.
So let me come on this side. Again, I can come to you and just ask. That's a new company. This is a technology company, so they're really in the throes of the evolution technological landscape by the day. What happens in a legacy company? I mean, how easy is it to drive change and to embrace new technologies, and more importantly, to get the workforce working, the way that you need to work using these new technologies, and also some of the changes in the mindset of talent. I think there was a time when people joined a company and retired from that company. And I think the whole mindset of talent today is a bit more short term. They want flexibility. They talk a lot more about work-life balance. So how easy it is to merge this changing technological landscape and the whole mindset of talent itself and their expectations from the workers.
Anji, we as Mondelez sit somewhere in the middle. We are not a new company. We're not a technology company. 2/3 of our workforce happen to be in the streets or at the shop floor. And shop floor, 2 very severe unionized shop floors, 3 out of the 4 that we have. I'll probably take a step back to talk a little bit about the evolution of work and how organizations are becoming future ready. To this situation, I feel there is a software problem and the hardware problem. The hardware problem, which is all the technology, data, new age business models, traditional trade versus modern trade versus omni, online, and all of that is very easy for organizations to crack. The software problem, which is the workforce, and that'll dwell me into your question, sir, on the mindset, is a difficult one to crack. To give you an example, both my son and I are in the workforce. I am upwards of 50. He's 24. See the generational diversity. He doesn't want to have any association with a workplace. He doesn't want to do a management degree because he feels interacting with people is a waste of time. So I think the organizations really need to get ready for the software problem and not so much the hardware problem. So questions like, AI and humans, it's not about either or. For me, it's about how are you augmenting. 70% of traditional trade, 30% of modern trade. How are we getting ready when it's going to be a 50-50 split? And mindset is not an overnight journey. There's a long way towards that. And I'm not saying the new age mindset is better, and we all who've been in the workforce for upwards of 20 years have nothing to add. I think organizations need to, and we at Mondelez are slowly but surely infusing the talent that we require, whether it is tech, whatever we can do in our space. Our factories can't overnight become dark factories. We can't do away with over 1,500 workers because they are unionized. So we'll have to go with the pace. But I think we are infusing fresh talent with the right skills. We are trying to make a dent in digital data. But more importantly, I think we are also not ignoring the experience that our seasoned folks have. So it's about bringing the blend in a balanced manner. There's a lot around reverse mentoring programs we have where the younger people pick up senior folks as their mentors and get them into tech, digital, and so on and so forth. And we in turn reciprocate the feeling on leadership, wisdom, experience, and so on and so forth. There's no one solution, but I think if I were to plan for a future ready organization, my 100% focus would be on the software and not so much on the hardware.
Thank you very much. And if I can therefore pick up somebody who's entered the workforce more recently, Ekta, right, who's with Cipla now. And I think it'll be really good to get your perspective of, and you went to the workforce more recently across the 3 companies you work for, which you told me. But, I mean, you're a talent and a person in your own right. What are people expecting from organizations today? And Cipla, let's say, is a company that's been around forever, right? So what are people like you, and what are the challenges for you as an HR person in terms of trying to create the kind of workplace that the talent of today really wants, where they come in and they flourish, versus, a lot of people I know say, I don't need to go to work, I'll work from home, why should I travel to work, right? And that's very true. And 2 years you get bored, you go to the next company, right? So what is, how you, what is the expectation, and what are you guys trying to do about something like that?
So,
and your own lens will be very powerful for us as well.
I'll bring in some experience from my erstwhile organizations as well. So I was working for RPG, which is a conglomerate, and one of our organizations is NSAR, which is IT. And I was during the time of second wave. So first wave, I was in campus. I was the person who was unsure, what organization I'll be joining, and how the workforce is going to be, how the placement situation is going to be. And then very next year, again in uncertainty, I was part of the organization myself. So we designed this beautiful digital talent track program, which would capture and IT talent was very volatile at that point. People were switching left, right, and center, and of course work from home was a priority for everyone. So we designed a program, and as an organization also, stability is something we desired. So we very strategically targeted MTech and MS returns from outside of India, which would be here, join the organization, and also stay and work for a few years. So that was one. Also, a lot of programs which were offline during pre-pandemic days became online. We introduced a metaverse platform where students would join in and have the same experience they had before. So RPG used to do something called as a happiness carnival, which was completely on campus, but we shifted it online. So these were some adaptations that happened from the org lens. Any role, even if we were doing HR, a lot of my batchmates joined business roles, product management roles. So being adaptable that way, upskilling yourself that way really helped.
Okay, thank you. And it's quite amazing. There was a time when the employee value proposition in my era we used to place a premium on retirement benefits and provident fund. Okay. I mean, the talent of today is interested in experiences. They want to go and blow up whatever money they have. My entire social circle today are my colleagues from Unilever or Cadbury. Today, they don't want to go and meet anybody at the workplace. They want to do their job and, do whatever else they want to do. So, it's I would say a dramatic shift. But if I can come to you, Lucky, and so what are some of the cultural challenges that you think companies face today? In my experiences, often I have found that culture building, the kind of company you want to build, has not always been a strategic conversation in the leadership. Culture has just happened or evolved. And then later you realize and say, this is our culture. But now that so much of change is happening, in your judgment, what are some of the cultural shifts that organizations will need to make, right, in order to be successful in the future?
That's really an interesting question. Good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, I would like to really express my immense pleasure that, when I saw IIM Jammu and the library and the way you all have done it. I have been to US multiple times. I've been to Harvard, Columbia University. I've been to Rutgers, NYC. When I saw this university, I thought it's not different. It's so much like, we are so much coming up. Second thing, you spoke about happiness that you teach in your college. That really touched me because we all need happiness in office because of the work stress, workload. And when someone is being educated by it, it becomes so much easy. And we are in the midst of appointing a happiness officer, chief officer happiness after the EY case. So very much touched with that. Coming back to your question, I represent Sheena & Company. Gina is a 124 years young company, friends. We have been in existence since 1900. We've seen all the pandemics. You all have seen COVID. Our company has seen multiple pandemics, World War II, partition, not only of India, Pakistan, but Bangladesh. And we have stood strong and we are going forward. I think we are one of the companies that is yet to be acquired by any MNC. Not that lucrative offers are not there, but owners want to continue. Now, when you work for a company which is 124 years old, something which is binding it and going strong is culture. And I'm so happy you asked me a question regarding culture. Our culture is really, really family atmosphere with all the MNC practices. So this type of a combination where you have family nurturing and the MNC practices, it makes us very different. Today's generation, the culture, I don't know if they understand culture also, because when they come to us and if the question is asked, where do they see after 5 years, a fresher, they want to become a CEO in 5 years. They want to retire at the age of 40 and explore the world. It's a different generation. See, they speak well, they are digital savvy, they are very smart, they are fast, but they don't understand what it means to be a culture, like, be in a cultural organization, because for them exploring becomes very important. Now, there are many courses, I would just touch upon this, that is available in the universities and people get educated, but we as a corporate cannot hire them directly because those courses are not sometimes relevant to us. Specifically, like, I am into freight forwarding, international freight forwarding. We need custom clearance brokers. We need EXIM compliance people. Those things are not taught in the university. So people will have to go to customs to get their exam done, or we have to train them. Training, as some of our colleagues were talking about, is very nice. But my problem is that after I train them, there's a lot of investment. How long will they stay with me? Is it worth training? That becomes a question. So I think our generation is fast. I wish they had a little more patience. They understood what loyalty is. We would have loved to employ so many of them and imbibe them in our culture.
Yeah, interesting. So it is a very changing kind of dynamic, certainly in the marketplace out there. So if I can change track a bit and talk a bit about the future and come to SK. Yeah, call you SK. Perfect. Thank you. I mean, from your vantage point, what are some of the key shifts that you think are likely to happen in the next few years? And sometimes, we don't know exactly what's going to happen, right? But again, this is about a bit of sight. This is a bit about building a future-ready organization. So you have to have a point of view. It may be half right or half wrong, but at least you have a point of view. So what are some of the shifts you think that we are going to see in the foreseeable future? And what implications do you think those things are going to have for workforce? We've spoken about some contrasting, requirements of, people who had long tenures versus people who are much younger coming to the workforce. So what do you think are some of the shifts that are likely to emerge?
Thank you so much. Thanks. Let me quickly mention that I had the privilege of, attending the first IIM Jammu conclave as a speaker. And when I saw the video today, thanks to Dr. Sahai, this is amazing. I mean, the transition, both in terms of the infrastructure and the stature which IIM Jammu has created for itself is fantastic. Congratulations to you and your team, sir. Really, genuinely so. And incidentally, like he also mentioned, I happened to just by chance, sort of visit, the United Nations in this June. And also, once again, by chance and a bit of a stroke of luck, I happened to visit the new parliament recently, our own parliament building. So when I say world class, I was actually struggling to say whether these are world class or a benchmark by themselves, where we are building infrastructure in India today, which is perhaps the best in the world, kind of, I mean, not just world class does not define that, and that is why, I mean, the kind of, amenities that I saw and the infrastructure, really, as Indians, we should be very proud of that, and that is the point which I wanted to mention. Coming back to, sir, your point, but before that, once again, and that sort of adds to the perspective which you mentioned, this topic of, a little bit of crystal ball gazing is in currency. And naturally so, because the technological shift, beginning with what Bill Gates said at one time, that we are lucky to be born during this age, and all the transition and shifts in technology that we are seeing, is but natural that we need to fathom what is happening and what is going to happen in future, and how we can be future ready. But I think what makes this particular discussion very special is the dimension of health and well-being. I think our panel also had the dimension of health and well-being. And of course, as the other panelists also mentioned, about adaptability and resilience. Because, as Stephen Covey had said about that 90-10 rule, 90% of what happens to us is not within our control, but we always have the right to be able to respond, and how we respond is what makes the difference. I am not so much going to delve into the technology, evolution that is happening, or the revolution for that matter, or the attendant issues of skills, reskilling, upskilling, all of that is happening. But what I think, and what should be mentioned, that in the realm of at least the next 3 to 5 years, the course of technology evolution is set, the direction is set, right? Whether it is AI, whether it is cloud or otherwise, and there are core technical people, and they will be able to add more value to that topic. But I would definitely think that the course is set. So therefore, it will evolve more and more, and therefore, organizations today are in a position to be able to do a good bit of strategy, both in terms of their workforce, as also the technology which they need in the context of their organization, vis-a-vis also their relevance to the market forces, because competition also influences your strategy, right? So that is set. What is very important, and what like the lady from Mondelez said, sorry, I missed your name, ma'am, Nagina, is right, that the soft skills are extremely important. If I sort of have to draw from the media, like some of the good news and the not so good news, last week, it is saddening, somebody jumped from the ceiling. His wife said, and it's a young guy, an assistant manager level guy, his wife said that it was because of work pressure. There's some incident last week happened in Lucknow. There are similar instances happening elsewhere. Two things come out of that in the context of our culture, and also the impact that all of this is happening, like sort of creating on us. I think what Dr. Sahai said, and I want to really emphasize this, he not only said about happiness, and I think, I'm sure, happiness is the broader spectrum. There are specifics of resilience, emotional intelligence, and all of that which is being. is the cry of the day and for the future as well. That is what I want to emphasize. Technology will happen in spite of us. What we do, how we see, how my organization competes, both in terms of my business as also my people, is my context. But insofar as the awareness for creating this is concerned and empowering people to be able to cope with these things, emotion, being self-aware, how to cope, how to respond, like what I said about the Stephen Covey thing, is something which is very, very important. And if these are being taught, and even Linda Gretton, I mean, we like to hear, sometimes foreign names being dropped. So let me also say that even they said in World Economic Forum and everywhere that these are the things, these are the competencies that is going to be the crying need for the next, 10, 15, 20 years. And that is what we need to do. Last point is, we, and this was also in the context of, once again, an MNC, one of the big fours, which came in the papers yesterday, that we also try to glamorize stress, overwork, business deliverables, outcomes, and all of that. That is another area where the Indian culture now needs to take precedence over the so-called American and the Western world culture, where we are able to actually effect a better work-life balance. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. I think that's well put. That's very well put. And I think this whole role of, given the volatility, the unpredictability, and the pressures that are there, I think this whole focus that is now emerging as a very important priority area in companies about mental health and well-being, right? I think just takes center stage. And, I have to agree.
and into the people we grow. So we call it as a cultural anchors, and we say that this is a license to be a part of the institution. If you don't demonstrate those anchors, then you have no right to be in the, you have no place in the institution. Similarly, on those anchors we recruit, and similarly on those anchors we promote people. But those are threshold level. We also are crafting today, and again, I'm saying that we're in the process of that. The competencies which are required in the middle management and the senior management, so that we are able to judge people who are ready for the next level roles now, 18 months later, and 36 months later. So the point, and when we do this, when we craft these cultural anchors or competencies, we get them passed through the two litmus tests. One is whether the competencies or behaviors are relatable to what we do in the business. So if we are, operating on a living essentials, industry essentials, battery essentials, then are those behaviors relatable to the strategy that we are deploying in the organization? And B, is it relatable to the last mile? If not, then there is no way that we can get them onto the board. So these two, and this is a learning for us, that these two tests are extremely important when you craft on any of the organizational development journey. So that's on the piece of culture and competency. The third area which we are, traveling up is building a digital champions in the organization in order to make ourselves future ready. Okay, so we conduct programs, capability building programs, and we, in every function, we have created digital champions by giving them digital projects which are outside their normal course of duty, and there are weightages there. This is in order to make ourselves digital ready going forward. So these are the two things which I thought is worth mentioning to the group. Thank you.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you very much. I think what's very clear is, this challenge of managing at the same time the old and the new, right? Because you still need a lot of the strengths of the legacy organizations, probably in your factories and people like that. And yet you need to evolve them to an extent. And yet you need a part of the organization that has to start really getting ready for tomorrow. And I think that's a bit of the dichotomy that, many companies deal with. We'll just take, if there are one or two questions, we can just take that before we close.
Anand, if I may, just just summing up and just some thoughts that came to me towards the end. With a lot talked about, which is artificial intelligence, in my mind is the third disruption that mankind has seen, from internet, mobiles to AI. We lived through the internet and the mobile era. I'm sure that we'll surpass the AI era as well. I think let's not over-engineer the whole piece around future of work is a scary monster. What do organizations need to do, and so on and so forth. I feel to every situation there is a two-way education. One education for organization is to adapt ourselves to the new age, and everything's happening for the good. You look at youngsters wanting jobs which have purposes. Go back to our 25 years, we'd do anything people would give us to do. They want mental well-being, they need happiness. This is all in the positive. All your harassment policies, your anti-sexual harassment policies, all these are good for the future. So it's a positive swing. It's not that the generation or the workforce in the future is going to ask a lot from us, which organizations can't adapt to. I think we're in a very happy spot. I think what we really need to do to make the workforce educated is the resilience we brought to the table, the tenacity we brought to the table. Times, businesses, competition is not going to change. It's only going to get more severe, where the size of the pie is going to get further reduced, because there is so much advancement all across. So I think unless the generation and the ecosystems of the organization are not resilient, so there is both ways. We need to adapt, but I think who we are hiring, and this is a large enough forum with academia and industry, where I think we should also take it as a mandate to give our part or do our part towards what the future of workforce would look like. So I thought I'd just
thank you very much. Yes, thank you. Any question from the audience? Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's a very drastic cultural shift happens, sir, when someone comes from the university or college to the organization, right? And most of the guys or people, 70% are the fresh talent. We talk about any IT company, because I'm coming from IT side, the Indian IT majors like Wipro, TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, HCL, Tech Mahindra, all these are bigger one. Why don't we have the budding culture, right? So I'm a new person, just entered in the organization, but it becomes the accountability, responsibility, ownership, whatever you say, of the senior individuals or the senior leaders to extend that support as a buddy to the group of people or an individual if it is a smaller organization. If it is a bigger organization, a senior leader should handhold at least 20, 30 folks or 20, 30 employees who are newly joined in the organization, so that you understand the I mean, you give them, you extend that support, you extend the warmth to them, because they are absolutely new, because they're coming from the one world to the other world, right? So that's one of my questions to you.
Anyone who's doing a buddy model? Yeah, why don't you?
Yeah, I think the model what you talked about is actually in place in Capgemini. So especially for the especially for the IIM grads. So we have a lot of management grads who joins us fresh out of the university and the colleges. We literally take these batches, and for next 1 year, they have a chance to go through different departments or the different groups and be our shadow. So I will have one of the IIM grad as my shadow, who will work with me for 4 months. And what happens at actually our end of the 1 year, they learn a lot of things, but also we also do a reverse mentoring. They come with a lot of ideas, right? With a young generation, young passion, and the new thoughts of the digital. They actually come back. They're saying, instead of you did like this, you should have done it this way. And that actually benefits both. So the program, what you're talking about, it's already in place in actually many of the organizations.
I agree. We have mentor-mentee programs. So whenever a new person joins the organization, the fresh talent, first of all, they have done internships during their college days. Okay, so it's not that they are completely new. And most of the organization, we have mentor-mentee programs where they are handholded for 1 year in various departments where they feel like they are comfortable and want to settle down.
One more, yeah.
Since I work with IIM Jammu, quite a few of our students are planning to join startups. I've worked with them for many years. And seeing this new feature is quite different from the established organizations where you get one of the which our students have is, what do I need to be ready for? What do I need to do differently before joining a startup? And what can I expect from a startup? Any ideas on how different is the work culture in a startup today as different from established organizations? Please. Yeah.
Hello.
Not so. So the shift towards working for startups is but obvious, because the generation is engineered that way. They want purposeful work, they want work to look back and see their creative legacy, they want a pace, they want to do it from scratch. So all of that is understandable. So I think they are ready inherently for this kind of work. When I asked my son, give me a list of organizations that you would futuristically like to work for, he says, there is a list, but guess what? I want to do something on my own. That's the bottom line. So they are inherently wired to work for a startup, because they look for experiences, they look for quick failures, quick gains, and all of that. But I think as organizations also understand, I come to your question, what they need to do when they join a startup, or how ready they need to be. But I think for organizations who want to attract the generation, we all want to go to the IIMs and the IITs to bring in that. I think it's a sense check for us to make our work very meaningful and startup-like for them. Even if we are a 75-year-old company in the country today, but we will really need to give them those thriving experiences. What they need to do in turn to be able to set themselves up for success in these organizations is they will need the resilience. They should not have fear for failure, and they should be ready that this is, there will be blips and there will be cycles in the organization. Because today's generation wants to fail fast also equally quick. They don't want to hang in there and see this is a cycle, this doesn't work, let's move to the next. So I think resilience fear of failure, success will come at an own pace that has to be tenacity. I think these are some of the skills, but I think for organizations, the message I'd like to leave, and a very important one, sir, thanks for that question, is that we will really need to make our work startup-like if we want to be attractive to this generation.
Yeah, that's a good perspective.
Add 2 points, and I'm seeing it live. So, I think one aspect when you look at as a startup is the interest of the organization that what you are bringing as a capability or capacity. Because in a startup, a lot of things may be unstructured. So when we hire that talent from the campuses, various campuses, I think one is attitude. Make it happen. Attitude is very important. Come what may, because there will be a lot of chaos. How you can make the things happen? What is your ability to work cross-functionally? Because the egos needs to be completely on the sideline. Hierarchy doesn't start. Everyone is equal. Everyone has a thought. Everyone has the ability to work in cross-functional teams and make the things happen. I think in these schools, the ability to work in terms of network and leverage different hierarchies or different set of people is very key. Who has got that power and resource where I can reach out and make the things happen is very key when you are studying.
I think that's great perspective. But with that, I'm going to call this to a close. I'm sorry. I think we are really out of time. But listen, a big round of applause to the panel for some great perspective. The answers as much as I enjoyed asking the questions. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Due to felicitate our guests, Miss Nagina, ma'am.
Start from here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for coming and joining the panel. Oh, sorry. It's lovely. Next promotion. Thank you.
Miss Ekta, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Rahul, sir. Mr. Gautam Sinha, sir. Without further ado, let's move on to the second panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished panelists to the stage. Let's start with the moderator of our panel, Mr. Lalit Kumar Nayak, Director, Novel Tech Feeds Private Limited, and Member, Board of Governors, IIM Jammu. Next, we have with us Mr. Pavan Gangwani, EVP of Life and Annuities, JP Morgan. With extensive experience in the insurance industry, he has worked across life insurance, pre-sales, and business strategy roles. Previously, he served as Chief Manager at HDFC Life, handling term and annuity products, and has also worked at Cognizant and Infosys in senior roles. Next, we have with us Mr. Rajesh Balakrishnan, CEO Aditya Birla Chemicals. With over 25 years of experience in the chemical industry, he has held leadership roles at Pidilite Industries, Dye-Star, and BASF across various regions. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Sonal Jain, Group CHRO, EPL Limited, with over 2 decades of global HR experience. Ma'am has worked with top organizations such as Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, and Wipro. Next, we have with us Mr. Sudhir, Director, Edward Life Sciences. Mr. Sudhir brings over 18 years of experience in sales development across pharmaceutical, healthcare, life sciences, and medical devices industry. Next, we have with us Mr. Manoj Sharma, CHRO RT Industries Limited, with over 26 years of experience in HR across large multinational companies. He has expertise in HR strategy, rewards management, and job evaluation, and has held leadership roles at Vedanta Resources, Hindalco, and Grasim Industries. Next, Dr. Sakharam Garale, founder and CEO of Renovare Healthcare Solutions. Sir brings with him over 16 years of extensive experience in global medical affairs, clinical research and development, and project management in the pharmaceutical industry. He's an expert in managing phase 1 to 4 clinical trials, vendor management, and compliance. Next, Ms. Swati Mishra, Director HR, Omya Group, with over 3 decades of senior corporate experience spanning HR, commercial, and legal sectors, both in India and internationally. Next, we have with us Mr. Ajay Brahmbhatt, India Lead HR at Siemens Limited. With over a decade of experience in human resources and a strong academic foundation, Mr. Ajay brings a unique blend of expertise. No worries, ma'am. He holds a doctorate in business administration and a postgraduate in human resource management from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Next, we have with us Ms. Surya Saraf, Global Alliance Manager, Tech Mahindra, with over 15 years of experience in pre-sales and alliance roles at major organizations like Deloitte, Capgemini, Accenture, Tech Mahindra. Ma'am holds an MBA in marketing and a degree in chemical engineering from Mumbai University. We have a highly relevant and thought-provoking second panel discussion on shattering the glass ceiling, strategies for inclusive leadership. This discussion aims to provide a comprehensive exploration of the strategies and best practices that can drive this change. By focusing on how organizations and individuals can work together to dismantle these barriers, the panel will offer valuable insights into how leadership can become more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. Sir, I would like you to please take over from here.
So it's definitely afternoon now. So good afternoon, and I won't come in between you and lunch. So let's try and get this panel discussion moving very quickly. First of all, I feel a little old when I look at my colleagues over here on the panel. But having said that, I think I have migrated. I must say that I have migrated from being a successful CEO for about 25 years to the life of a consultant. And I must say that view from this side, especially with regard to the topic, is a little more evolved than when it was when I was working within an organization. Simply put, there are very few constraints now, and I see the organizations quite differently as a consultant. But coming to the topic itself, I remember the early days in my career, 1980s, and I had this opportunity to train people to get into IIMs. And, group discussions are one of the methodologies used to get people into IIM. And our favorite topic those days, or one of the topics those days, was a quote by an English or an American novelist, which went like this, that women's liberation is nothing but bra burning. And this is a quote made by a famous writer, Germaine Greer. And believe me, when this topic was presented to the group of 10 or 15 people, we would get all kinds of views based on what was being practiced those days.
After that, I entered into the corporate world and had the opportunity to work with a number of multinationals, French, German, British, American, Indian promoter-driven groups, and so on. And the concept of diversity and inclusion, kept on taking different hues and shades depending on which organization I came from. And believe me, working for the British organizations was the best experience. I think mentally and culturally, from my point of view, they were the most evolved when it came to diversity and inclusion. And of course, as we went along, we saw diversity and inclusion becoming keywords at all forums, at all board meetings. You have rules, regulations which have been put in place to include students at campuses, members of boards. There are restrictions and so on. So we have adapted to this changing situation, and strategies have come in place. But for this panel discussion, I will adopt the role of a consultant. I consult for McKinsey, so I'm very used to the structure which they adopt. So for the first few minutes, I would request each of the panelists to define what according to them is inclusion, diversity. What does it mean to them as an individual and as a member of the organization they come from? And after that, I would focus on 4 pillars, not that everybody would talk on all the pillars. But when we talk about organizations, we talk about 4 things. We talk about leadership, we talk about culture, we talk about strategy, and then change, which is basically execution. And then I would request each of the panelists to talk on one of those 4 pillars so that we are able to comprehensively cover the discussion. So I would start by requesting Sonal over here, to share what she thinks diversity and inclusion is all about from her point of view and from her organization's point of view. Sonal, over to you. I think you have a mic there.
Oh, yes.
Is it working?
Does it need to be one line?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So, thank you so much for having me here. And when I came up to this chair, I suddenly thought only my mic doesn't have a color. Is it purposeful, right? And that, to me, that's how diversity, equity, and inclusion is, right? Not every time everybody will do something to make you feel uncomfortable, but you can feel uncomfortable. So it's all about how you feel. I'm just going to call out a couple of things which are very, very personal to me. So this is not really organizational, but to me, I think the first is, to me, the micro inclusions that happen every day really defines what diversity and equity and inclusion. So for example, I wrote an article on LinkedIn about saying, if everybody is a he, then where is the she? So when we are in meetings, we're in board meetings, we are colleagues, we refer a sales colleague and we say, he will do this. Somebody from legal, he will do this. Somebody from marketing, he will do this. So I just got thinking that if everybody is a he, then where is the she? So it all starts from a mind. The second one, it's all in a mind, right? When we have these meetings and everybody say, I'm perfectly fine, give me the resume and I'll hire. But give me the perfect resume and I'll hire. Where is the perfect match every time, right? And I'll give you an interesting example. A few days back, we hired a consultant and we said, why don't we get female profiles for a role that we believe it can work? And all profiles came as female profiles, women profiles. The hiring manager came back and said, something is wrong. I got all the female profiles. You are biased. You're not trying to do the right thing. And I was like, really? Who's biased? You never asked us when you got all the male profiles. And today, when we are actually trying to get a balance, the first question, rather than saying, I'm glad, you came back saying, I have a problem. Right? It's in the mind. It's out there. It's not a rocket science. The third one, I think my journey transitioned and transformed in 2010 when I was in Unilever. Before that, I must admit, I was a little bit of anti-women,
gang saying, no, don't do this. If there is a platform, I will not even attend that platform, right? But, kudos to our then CHRO, Leena Nair. She really created that movement in the organization. And I truly transformed. And since that day, I think I've committed saying, I will uplift women, period. The equality is not reached, right? There is no equality right now. We are yet to reach the balance. And hence, I will pay more attention if I find women colleagues out there in my organization or outside the organization. Yeah, that's the third one. The fourth one I would urge is just say what is in your heart and mind authentically and honestly. I don't think we are always saying what we are thinking, right? So that's the fourth one that's helped me. The fifth is I have never seen somebody who's a human being and said, I really want my left hand to be growing more than my right hand. Our body grows the same. And hence, we don't grow alone as corporates, we grow as ecosystem. So we can't just focus on our organization, 5 roles, 6 roles. I think we have to grow as ecosystem. And it's a difficult topic, but I think it's really a topic for us to work on. And finally, all of us do good in life, but we do good in life not for what we are paid for and what's our responsibility for a family and our organization, but we actually do good what we are not paid for. And if each one of us commit to that one thing that we are not paid for, and we still will strive for and really sort of spend our hours and hours together, I think this world will become a better place. So that's really on my mind. A couple of things that I try and practice, and I've been reflecting on this topic.
But I mean, I can't resist from asking you this question. As a working professional, and this is for the benefit of everybody, do you think inclusivity and diversity has in some way impacted return on investment in any which way you look at recruitment, investment in people? It's just something to provoke.
Sure. So, I come from a company called EPL Limited. We are the largest specialty tube making company in the world. So if you paste with Colgate paste, the tube is ours, right? Globally, we have around 28% of women workforce. And most of our countries actually operate out of 40 to 50% women workforce across the world, with majority of our workforce being in manufacturing. But the moment we come to India, our numbers drop, right? Our numbers drop, and Anand is smiling because of all the conversations we are having in our organization. We come down to 19%. And if I look at our internal organization, the numbers come to 5 to 6%, right? So we can, I think the change is for real. The challenge is for real. It was real then, real now. I have personally believed that gone are the days to ask for a business case and return on investment. It doesn't exist in my mind, right? If somebody says, show me the business case, I would go back and say, sure, tell me why should I work with you? I have 5 other people better than you, which actually any company can hire. So gone are the days of the business case. We have to believe it. We have to absolutely commit to it. We have to ensure that we are not biased in this process, even while we are trying to bring balance. I remember one of my managing directors in previous company used to say, where the sales workforce was 5%, he used to say in our town halls, the day we stop saying it's a boys club, right? My boys have made the sales. The day you stop saying it, you will make a difference, right? And it's real. And wherever we are. So I think the change has to happen without a ROI, without a business case, and it's for real.
Pawan, coming to you, you come from JP Morgan, the external worldview of investment bankers is a testosterone-filled environment. How much of that is true? What's your view on this topic, and what is JPMC doing to change it or so on?
So, first of all, thank you for having me here. Slightly coming to the topic, few things. when it comes to JP Morgan or within any other organization, diversity to me or inclusion to me is, for example, this panel here right now representing a good diversity. Initially, Director Sir mentioned that 56% of the students there are females. That is a diversity. Now, why do we need it? First of all, because what I believe, world around us, let it be corporate, JP Morgan or anything else, we are solving some problem. Via this panel, we are addressing one challenge. Via an institution, we are addressing some educational problem. There we are solving it for the entire population, which consists of everyone. It is not a gender specific problem that we are solving. So if the problem is faced by everyone, then are we ensuring that it is being solved for everyone? That to me is basically diversity, why we need inclusion in place. So I'll take a simple example. So I was reading one of the LinkedIn post like 2-3 days back. There was a colleague of mine, he is in sales, and he wanted to go to a field trip by the office. And this person he was accompanied by a female colleague. Now, the problem was that for him, it was a normal routine that he has to just visit the field, and 5-6 hours back, he has to come back, take different flight, and come back to Bombay. But his female colleague, she was having a mindset of, will I have access to the washrooms there when I'm on the field trip? What if I cannot reach back at home? What about my kid? So all these things were there. Now, these are some of the problems that we may not have even discussed about, we may not even identified. But once we have inclusive participation from everyone, these problems are more talked about and more solved. Now, coming to the organizational setup, we have a lot of initiatives in different organizations which put a huge importance on the inclusivity, which are more or less mostly the DEI initiative, I would say, the diversity, equity, and inclusion, where there's a strategic unit whose entire focus is on these parameters, and they have the unset rules and regulations in place where we can control we can control these behavior that which do not promote the inclusivity. So we have, I mean, those are controlled. Basically, I want to say that we promote these things where the inclusivity and diversity are from every aspect of the population, not just gender specific. It can be age, so that the generation can be avoided. It can be anything. So basically, these are the best practices that I believe should be there, and that is why diversity is important to be, part of any problem solving approach.
I'll ask you a very challenging question. Yeah? One of the topics which is being discussed at various levels in government, in institutions, and so on, is about reservation in private organizations. What is your view?
So that's a very interesting topic, I would say. And if you say reservation, but reservation in terms of what? In terms of gender, in terms of...
Let me not be over specific.
Exactly. So
you may choose not to answer also. But
no, I'll just give my thought on it. And these are my personal thought, not to be, linked with any employer of mine. It comes with my experience. Reservation is somewhere, I would say somewhere required, but not to be exploited. Why is it required? Because again, if you are solving a problem holistically, you have to have the representation from all the sects of the society. But that cannot be over exploited, that should not be misused. And that should not be like we should lose the purpose of reservation. So reservation should not be like, you take away chances from someone. It should be more like you give chances to everyone. That should be the motto of the reservation, I would say.
Thank you, Pawan. Thank you. Coming to you, Rajesh. I know Rajesh from a long time, and having worked in both multinationals as well as Indian promoter-driven organizations, what specifically is your view, or has your view changed after moving from an MNC setup to a promoter-driven setup? Your individual views on inclusiveness and diversity, as well as this specific reference to MNCs versus promoter-driven organizations.
Hello, you can hear me. Okay. No, I was just, thanks, Lalit. I think it's a very provocative, interesting question, and I've been trying to look at it from possible the lens of bias, right? And so there are, I think, three perspectives here. So many of you, like me, have possibly come up from a technology background, and there is one bias of technology which creeps in when you look at people, right? The second bias is about the first 20 years of career spent in a structured German multinational and how you look at people, cultural acceptance and diversity. And the next maybe 12, 15 years in promoter-driven enabled companies like Pidilite and Aditya Birla, where you look at efficiency, business, with a view on diversity and how do you really enable it. Right? So these are three biases largely which shape your thought process on how do you look at diversity and inclusion. Right? So one, of course, is the tendency for many of us to say that there are certain roles, and the question is about challenging these biases and looking from a very different perspective, right? And that's something is probably the journey which I personally am also going through. One, of course, then the bias is to say that certain roles cannot be done by certain sections, right? I mean, many of us come from a bias saying that manufacturing, technology-related roles are something which cannot necessarily be comfortable for women to drive, right? The second bias about saying is that, look, you need to have certain experience to perform well in certain roles. And that's the second bias to really to look at, right? And the third is about the specific challenge with Indian entrepreneurial companies, which you asked, is as you grow into geographies beyond India, then the issue with respect to cultural diversity and acceptance really shapes how you really think in these lines, right? So I think now, for me, the fundamental thing here is to take a step back and say that, look, how do you take a step back and how do you look at it from a perspective to say that, is it really true? And can you challenge this whole situation, right? So one example here is to say, we would never think of running manufacturing operations in Gujarat, in a small place like Vilayat, with women employees, right? I mean, that's something which we would not do, right? But we never tried. And when we tried and experimented through a project, we realized that, okay, you have to develop an ecosystem and it's not about just individuals, right? So how do you recruit, hire, train young girls from neighboring villages, from communities who would normally not send them even to work? But if you develop an ecosystem, today we are running a complete manufacturing operation in 3 shifts with women, and that runs as efficiently as any other operation really runs. So I think, so for me, I think the perspective personal is about many of us come from different varied backgrounds, which will structure the way we think about diversity and inclusion. The first step is about challenging that perspective itself to say, do we tend to get biased? And this whole thing about Indian entrepreneur and German structured companies is, there are many things which Indian companies bring to the table in terms of capability, desire, but there is a need to, and which we face and many organizations face, is we don't completely understand how the Western world thinks. And I think there's clearly a need to understand how a German or an American would look at a situation in comparison to how we would look at it.
I'll ask you a personal question, right? Because I know you. Yeah. So both your daughters are professionally very accomplished, doing very well overseas in, areas and fields which are very challenging. How do they look at this topic? What do they think about inclusivity and diversity?
See, one thing is that it's not a debate, right? It's certain conversations are given, right? I think so, and very often I think that's where the age gap or the understanding gap plays up, is that you tend to have less understanding on how things they really look at, right? I mean, a very classical example is the whole conversation I had with my daughter around which university to choose, right? And she was very adamant around pursuing a certain stream of psychology and experimental. And the conversation from my side is, why are you narrowing down on specific universities in the UK? And I think you're not being open about the way you're thinking. This is typical corporate jargon as to think that, look at options, right? Well, I think she came up and said, look, and I'll give you 10 reasons in terms of data points which will prove you wrong. And actually, I couldn't even refute one data point which was presented, right? So I think the whole challenge here is that I think many things which we normally assume are unacceptable. And I think it's important to have the dialogue and understand what's acceptable and what not acceptable. And to a great extent, I think it's about listening and possibly accepting the fact that maybe there's a much better understanding and for which you have to learn from, right?
Yeah, I mean, that resonates. Just as an offside, since I consult for McKinsey, very often I deal with first-year associates, so they come across and they say, we need some information. And when they start asking questions and I go all around, they say, don't give me shit, tell me exactly, do you know about this, this, and this? And then I say, sorry, So I think whoever it is, the nature of questioning has changed. And this is reflected within organizations, within individuals. And very often, inclusivity and diversity encourages this form of questioning. And I believe, having gone through organizations, this is change which is material and which should exist, because otherwise you don't have that challenge and you don't have that, that flavor of working in a very challenging kind of a situation. But that's my view on, what value and what innovation comes in through diversity. Coming to Swati, I think OMIA is a Swiss organization. Yeah. And I thought, or I think that Swiss by nature are the most neutral kind of community and should be very, very kind of positive on this topic. One is that. Other thing is, I'll give you some facts about, or one fact, two facts. I was reading something and they said that, in metric terms, inclusivity and diversity has increased by 33% over the last 5 years. And more so in BFSI, IT, consultancy kind of organizations. Since you come from a manufacturing organization, do you think these numbers are real, could improve, or in your organizations they are even worse? And do bring a Swiss flavor to this whole discussion.
So I would like to begin by thanking IIM Jammu for giving me this opportunity of interacting with everyone here and sharing the panel with such accomplished people. Jammu is very close to my heart. I've studied for 3 years in Army School, Udhampur. And then, for actually 6 years, we were there and used to go to Jammu very often. So it brings back school time memories thinking of Jammu.
You are welcome to come again. Yeah. But do bring in a few vacancies.
Absolutely, absolutely. So about my organization, OMIA has recently completed 140 years of existence. And just last week, I was in Singapore. We were celebrating our, completion of 140 years. And I was hosting this event, the celebration. And I was so amazed about the humility, modesty. This, by the way, happens to be the value that our organization shares. And it was such a conservative, I would say, or such a mellowed down program. We had 40, 50 customers who were with us for, more than 100 years, who were invited for this program. And we had the leadership team, which had about 30, 35 odd people. That's about it. This was the 140-year celebration for OMIA. I have joined OMIA about 5 months ago. Before this, I was an IT organization called Amdocs, and we were celebrating 40 years of completion. We were, it was like 2 months of celebration, everybody putting on LinkedIn, Facebook, too many celebrations, celebrities being invited. So I got, introduced to this Swiss humility, which I'm very, very pleased to see that this is how it happens. Now, in terms of diversity, I would say it's a huge challenge. The first meeting where I had to, make my presentation, I made 2 slides on diversity and how important it is, especially, on the board and, leadership, and look at our numbers, it's not great. And now 5 months into the organization, I realize, it's difficult. When rubber hits the road, it's very easy to put it on the slides. But when I'm sitting with recruiters and I'm telling them, guys, I want, a woman candidate, and here I'm struggling even to close a position after 3 months, then I'm like, okay, forget it, whichever gender, just get it. So it is easier said than done. you do have a challenge. We have plants in remote locations, like some of my colleagues said. Somebody has to go to Kakitapuram. It is interior parts. It's not very easy for women. You have to find somebody local, or then nobody can really relocate to those places. So for sure, in the manufacturing setup, I see that it becomes a larger challenge.
But it's more mental rather than factual or physical, isn't it? Inclusion, having inclusion and having diversity in organizations. Forget organizations. As a boss, having that thought in the first place, isn't it that a part of your mental makeup rather than something which is forced upon you as an organizational creature?
So I would also like to share from my personal journey that I have sometimes taken some decisions where, so when my daughter was 7 months old and I got this opportunity to go to Israel and get certified as an executive coach, that was something very close to my heart. I said, okay, fine, I'll go. It's just a matter of 1 week. And there's so many people who were asking me, really, you are leaving your 7-month-old child, just to do this? Then later, I got an opportunity. I got a job offer from BCG, Boston Consulting Group. I had already worked with Bain and Company. I thought, okay, fine, let me take BCG, and then McKinsey is the only one left. I'll work with all consulting.
You're welcome to join. I'll tell them.
So, but we were in Pune, and I had to relocate to Gurgaon. My daughter was 3.5 years old, but it was a dream job. I said, okay, let me go for it. When I was leaving, and I said, my husband is very supportive. I'm blessed, with a very supportive family. And he said, yes, go for it. I'll also find something in Gurgaon. I'll join you. But when I was leaving, my organization was like, you're relocating because your husband is relocating. I said, no, I'm relocating. He'll follow me. And when I joined BCG, there also people asked me, you've come alone? You've left your child with your husband? There were so many question marks. And, they were like, really? I mean, so for a woman still, if you're putting your career above your family, it is still a question mark. Forget about manufacturing, even the consulting where you have crema creme. Those people also raise their brows and say, okay, wow, you came all the way and you left your family. So I think we still have a long way to go, but I think there's a lot which is happening in my, in the previous organizations. There's so many awareness sessions which we are doing for women. So there are women leadership development programs. I cannot, but be grateful to men allies who've been with us. I think most of my mentors and sponsors in the organizations have been men. I just want to make a mention of Mr. Manoj, who's sitting here. And
I also know him very well.
So I joined this company. I'm new to manufacturing. So my ex-boss introduced me to him and said that, he can guide you and just reach out to him. I went to Manoj's office, and for the first time I took the head HR role. So I didn't know how HR strategy is to be made. So I, requested him to review, and he was so kind and generous to say, okay, Swati, let me also show you mine. And, he reviewed mine, gave me feedback.
By the way.
Sorry?
He is kind and generous to all women.
I'm sure to men too. So I think that I was so, overwhelmed that, he's willing to show me how he has built it. He gave me such, feedback that I got a lot of, good, remarks from my seniors when I presented it to them. So it is mentors like him that, that we need, who are going to lift us up and really help us pave our path.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I think now I'll turn this side. Yeah. But I'll get to now that we have a flavor of what individuals think about this particular topic, and most of you are quite comfortable handling that day to day, I think I'll straight away jump into the action part of it. Yeah. So this side of the panel. My first question is, what kind of leadership is required? I think, let me pronounce the name correctly, Dr. Sakaram Garade. What do you think are the prime requisites of leadership to bring about change in an organization's thinking on inclusivity, diversity, and so on? I don't think.
Thank you. Thanks for the question, and thankful to IMJ and all the panelists for the opportunity to sit here. I bring in the experience of healthcare industry, though with a management degree. I'm a physician by profession and into healthcare industry for almost 24 years. So I think the question would go as per your expertise and experience. There'll be a generic answer to all the questions which fits in all the industries. And there'll be more specific answer, which is for that particular industry. So I had been listening to, everyone, all the delegates speaking, or the eminent speakers, and what it is for me when I look it from my side of industry. I'd been into pharma industry for close to 18 years, and then in an entrepreneur journey for 6 years. So when I was in a corporate life with almost 4 MNCs and an Indian company, it evolved. I think when I see inclusivity and diversity, on which chair you're sitting, with team you're working, how is the type of manager, and what kind of culture you're working, it all changes. So I'll be more of answering the question in the given short time, how I went through it or how I see it through my spectacles. And then in an entrepreneurial journey, it is absolutely upside down. I mean, you can't apply everything you have learned in corporate life. It's a different ball game altogether. In a corporate life, I think when we answer generic ways, there are traditional ways of identifying the diversity parameters, and there are traditional ways of answering in the action plan that how can be more inclusive with regards to as a leader, an inclusive leader. What I have practically seen in a corporate life is that as a leader, I learned from my leaders who had groomed us. You may read everything in the books, but you have to have a fantastic mentor or a guide who has time and an interest in you, who will tell you how he would make you a better leader, but an inclusive leader. Secondly, we talk, read that you should be a team player, you should motivate, you should do this, you should do that. How practically you implement? Which is really good to read, but do you actually implement it? Because eventually, a single person who's a leader with his own team or an organization access, they collectively contribute towards organization's growth. I mean, it could be the culture development, it could be financial goals, or whatever we talk it has to be eventually groomed. So we see old empires, the big corporates, they have a setup culture.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything, just jump into the water and start swimming. But if it's a startup company or maybe a decade or a 2 decade old, everybody's learning. You can't implement something new. Everybody gets groomed. Oh, this would work, that would work. And then it shapes off. When you say a company is a decade, 2 decade old, they might be a good culture again, but the company financially may not be strong. I have seen such examples also. They're just doing good, but they have a fantastic culture. And you have a team who says that I have a fantastic boss, I have a fantastic company to work with. I'm happy with the money I'm getting. Yeah. There would be people who would say the company is really good. I'm loving it, but then I still love money more than the culture, and I want to jump out of the company. So when I see the corporate life, it's everybody contributes when we say inclusivity and a diversity, and it's an ever evolving process. I mean, based on the domain you're working with. Now, when I jump on the entrepreneurial side of it, I the first diversity which I saw, how fast I unlearned that drop all the tags, drop all the hats you have had, that I was a vice president in a company, that come on the floor and just be just another service provider, and be humble and approach everyone who wants to give you a business, and then start assessing what is working and what is not working. Eventually ensure that you have a sustainable cash flow, and then the team which you're building with the ROI plans and the 2-year, 5-year, 10-year strategy, you are aligned to it, and then build teams. And the biggest drawback or the hit, I am a 6-year-old, I have a 6-year-old company, and a small team in Mumbai, and one small team in Hong Kong, and a couple of people sitting in Dubai, because I have worked in 80 countries globally for my healthcare service deliveries and the organization. So I'm pretty well aware. I was pretty happy traveling with business class, first class. The first unlearning was I have to be in the cattle class, as per Mr. Shashitaru.
I'll ask you a tricky question. Okay, you have given me all the ideas about leadership in organizations. Suppose you have to go to a doctor. Would you be more comfortable with a lady doctor or a male doctor?
Depends upon what disease I have. So this is a doctor's answer. I think if I answer as a layman, I'll say I'm fine. You advise, because I consulted for a startup which is into second opinion for an OPD, and then at that point in time, we had developed a model where we could have an option. So if it's a second opinion, I'll ask you, if you are a senior doctor, that I have, this disease, where do I go? Because I don't have a choice. The guy
No,
who's
I was
guiding.
just trying to be.
No. Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
No, good. Okay, Manoj. I think we have got certain thoughts on leadership from Dr. Sakar. I think I'll address the next pillar, which is culture. Okay. You have worked with Aditya Birla, you are working with a large promoter-driven group now. How do you understand culture in the context of the topic, inclusivity and diversity? And very specifically, do cultures encourage people to achieve in spite of where they come from, gender, sex, everything? And what's your personal experience on this matter?
Thank you. Actually, I'm in a spot. Lalit know me personally and professionally. He's in our board. But nevertheless, I'll give my best shot, sir. I feel this whole topic of D&I actually starts from your home. And I relate to that very foundationally and fundamentally. I am fifth born in my family, 4 sisters, 2 brothers, always dominated by females around me. And it has given me a lot of confidence and comfort, by the way, to interact and to engage with female leaders, female folks, very, very naturally. And so I would say, a kind of a competitive edge, came from the family. Second is, I was born in BHL. So I hail myself as a manufacturing person of 55 years experience because I was born in BHL hospital, raised in BHL schools, been with BHL community. First job was Grasim Industries. So all throughout that journey of manufacturing, and I have always witnessed diverse culture. Public sectors, government organization, educational institutions are foundation to this D&I, since beginning. They have systemic manner or systematic manner address this issue right from the beginning. There is so much to learn from these, Navratnas or these institutions and even educational institutions in terms of really honing your leadership around this topic. Now, coming back to the culture aspect, I truly believe culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's a saying not by me, but a very coveted author. And I have genuinely practiced this throughout my formative years. That is the time I was learning. But when I came into more leading roles, and I experienced, and case in point, I talk about the current company. I think we are in specialty chemicals, and they really take pride where culture is a competitive edge in comparison to many of our competitors. Some of the foundational things which we have addressed collectively is our own definition of leadership. Our definition of leadership is everybody in Aarti Industries is an Aarti engaging leader. And who is Aarti engaging leader is one who lives Aarti values of care, integrity, and excellence, operates in a natural state of action, works in alignment, speak and listen powerfully, is a cause in the matter, and co-creates a world-class company. Now, when we have practiced this, right from the chairman to the last man standing in the company, everyone is Aarti engaging leader. As a result, we have demystified hierarchies. People relate to me as per my declaration, and my declaration, I'm an enabler, medium, and a listener to them rather than president and CHR. It could be that designation is not known to many of them. They relate to me as per my declaration so that they can seamlessly and powerfully interact with them and really co-create anything. We have challenged many HR practices on account of alignment. Anything and everything in Aarti Industries can be changed. Follow a process of alignment. Very powerfully taught those templates. We have taught template of accountability and ownership to the people. And I tell you, if you practice this ecosystem, the ecosystem which we have created, the issues of D&I, the issues of many other, high performing team or dealing with non-performers, they become so simple to deal with. If I have created huge transparency, when I say I means company as a whole, created huge transparency around promotions. It was always a very, threatening questions or a worrisome question or a stressful question in the minds of the people, how promotion takes place in this company. When you create a transparency around that, people are happy. Recently, we did a well-being study. We are one of the pioneer company in India. We did a well-being study. Happy to share 65% of my people are thriving. 30% of them are in a suffering stage, just below thriving. Only 5% are suffocating. We are running marathon programs now on wellness, so that the well-being aspect, and well-being starts from physical well-being, your career well-being, financial well-being, community well-being, and social well-being. We have positioned all these tools in the minds of the people. The idea is the culture which you are shaping up, and we expect our people to be stress-free, threat-free, and fear-free. When the pandemic was on our face, we were the first company to communicate to the people. Nobody would lose job on account of pandemic in earth industries. And it has worked on return on investment, sir. My plants ran smoothly throughout the year. Only 7 days of stoppage during pandemic. People turned up, they showed courage, they showed, all sorts of things, but they ensured we are in operation. And we delivered all specialty chemicals during that point of time. So that in nutshell, I think culture is something very, very important. We have started this journey in 2017 in earth industries. We are still continuing. We are spending 100+ days on culture workshops. So there are two models of culture workshops we do. One is called IIM, where everyone from chairman to manager, they go through that structured program. And the second workshop is, I call it, and I did do it personally, it's called metamorphosis. And happy to share, Professor Sir, I interact my people on hope, fearlessness, stress, and I coach them how the decisions are taken in earth industries, so they can relate what is there for them in the larger interest. So these are the certain things. I know your second question is very disruptive.
No, very. No. I think you haven't left much for me to ask in terms of culture. I think this was a good lecture on culture, Professor Sai. I think we need to leverage this a little bit. Yeah.
Sir, I am from psychology background. OB is my favorite subject. So
right. So I'll keep the difficult questions and ask them over lunch. Okay.
Oh, that's I'm saved, sir.
So coming to Surya, I think the next pillar for us is, we have talked about leadership, we have talked about the culture. The third and the most important thing is strategy. What is the strategy which a company, and especially Tech Mahindra, is at the forefront, because tech companies normally have to live with the principles of inclusivity and diversity. So what's your view on this topic, and how is Tech Mahindra strategizing, focusing on bringing about strategic change?
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good afternoon to everyone. And I belong to the city of Jammu, and it is my birthplace. Kashmir is my birthplace, and then we shifted to Jammu. So it, being an IIM in Jammu is a very proud feeling for me, because when I kind of was looking for options to study there, I had to kind of leave that place and come to Mumbai, or leave everything and come to other places. So, having something in my own hometown is a moment of pride for me. And I'm really proud that Jammu is having such a big institution. And I'll just little bit of background about, the diversity, and then I'll come to Tech Mahindra's initiatives around this. So, my parents named me after a South Indian popular boy name. That's where the diversity started for me. I was kind of named Surya, which is a very popular South Indian boy's name.
And very
And-
popular today for other reasons.
Yeah.
We hear Surya around all stadiums.
And I had to live through it throughout my life. Everyone considering whenever I send emails that it's a boy, and then getting surprised on the call, oh, you are Surya. And I think, yeah, that's even continuing till date. So it's Mr. Surya here. So I thought, yeah. But I think more than the name, they brought me up like a boy. That was really important, which is in the sense, not being afraid of anything. I came from like a terrorist hit city wherein every day going to school among bomb blasts was a challenge. Like in Kashmir, I am a Kashmiri Pandit. So it was kind of that faith that my father, which is, and I think the first ally or the leader that we have in our life, he had in me was that I could manage in a city, big city like Mumbai on my own. And then I think, letting me do what I wanted to do as from the parents' side, from the family side is something which I think, I will carry for my daughter, which she's young now. But yeah, I think that's where the diversity and inclusion starts for me personally. And for me also, different roles I have had in terms of I started chemical engineering but got into IT. And then even within the IT sector, I moved different roles. I started with which was considered more suitable for women, a role which is more of a support, pre-sale support role, because you are not going to the customer, you are kind of supporting the sales people from back end, which is important. And then that's where the unconscious bias which is in the organizations is that women cannot be good in sales, because sales includes building a rapport, especially the B2B sales includes building a rapport with a lot of senior leadership people in the organizations, and that generally happens over a drink or over a smoke. It cannot, women are not generally fit for that sort of a role. But in Tech Mahindra, the kind of faith that the leadership put on me was that, no matter what the gender is, we think that being in sales requires some skills which should be irrespective of the gender. And that's where, the organization strategy in terms of not just women. In Tech Mahindra, we also have programs wherein very young leaders, like inclusion also includes having people of different ages across in the team. And generally sales in IT was a profile which people will kind of get into after like 15-20 years of delivery experience, because that's when they understand how to kind of talk to CIO kind of people in very large organizations. And sales is kind of a very old man's job in IT, kind of, if I have to put it. But in Tech Mahindra, the diversity that the organization wants to bring in sales is that they have a global leadership program wherein we kind of have young engineers or young management trainees who have just started their career, but some of them are identified as high potential and kind of given under the mentorship of very senior leaders. And that's where I think the strategy has to come from. We just don't need role models, we also need mentors who will kind of closely work with us and get us to a place wherein we are not in that state that how will that be done. We see them doing it, then we learn by example. So that's where the strategy is in terms of getting women into roles, into sales roles or into diverse roles which were not considered suitable. HR has a lot of women presence, but not sales. Marketing has it because it's kind of a support role, but sales is always nahi. Matlab travel karna hai, to women probably might not be comfortable with traveling. So yeah, that is where the organization is working.
One question.
Yeah.
How do you? What are Anand's views on this?
On what the
on
women?
inclusivity and diversity?
Yeah, I think as a company, Tech Mahindra has 40% like women present in the board members, and even across the senior leadership, we want to increase the percentage from 24 to 28% is what the aim is. We see a lot of women dropping out, because of which the lot of flexibility in terms of remote working and hybrid working is given, especially in the IT sector. It is possible to kind of do remote work, to kind of do hybrid work, and that's where the dropout rate is getting a little less with those sort of initiatives at the organizations.
Thank you. Thank you. Ajay, right?
Yes.
Siemens is still very, very German, isn't it?
Yes.
So anyway, Germans are known for execution.
Yes.
Of a different type, I suppose. But anyway, execution. Yeah. So we come to the last pillar, which is change. So how do you execute all these things? Cultural changes, strategic changes, and within Siemens, what kind of change orientation or change policies, or how do you execute this within Siemens as an organization? Execute strategies related to inclusivity and diversity and stuff like that. If you can give us some insight into this global organization.
Sure. Thank you for asking that. I'm the last one for this panel and just breaking before lunch, so I'll cut it very short before you throw tomatoes on me. Okay. On a lighter note, at Siemens, we pay a lot of attention in DEI changes, and there are a lot of initiatives. You rightly mentioned that it's German company, but in India, we are still an Indian German company. So we have that blend of both, because of course the manpower is Indian, and there are global policies as well as national policies that we follow, and what works for America, Siemens may not work for India, Siemens. So we consider all those things for DEI. So I'll quickly come to what changes we are looking at. So Siemens has multiple divisions: Siemens Energy, Mobility, your metros, your Indian Railway, rail signaling. We have multiple projects for all divisions, and there are two verticals. One is corporate and one is factory. Of course, factory being the major manpower for us. When I go for campus hiring, particularly engineering colleges, I see mechanical stream. We have very few women enrolling for that course. And even if they enroll, they don't want to do job in mechanical. They do some coding courses and they shift themselves. So what at Siemens we are doing is we are changing our mindset of perception at the ground factory level. So we have made an inclusive environment where we ensure that there is 50% of early talent working in the factories in mechanical, electrical, depicting that this is not a male dominating role. And this change or shift, we have got it from global policy, and slowly and gradually looking at the first batch, the next batch also aspires to join Siemens. So of course, factory has its own do's and don'ts and challenges, which we are catering to how to monitor it. Second thing was we did hire 3 individual last years who categorize themselves as transgender. So when we hired them, it was not just hiring, because hiring is still easy when we talk about DEI, but how do you nurture? Do you even provide that kind of a platform? So we not only trained our corporates who were working with them, but we trained every resources start from the starting point. So the security guard at the entry gate of factory, he should not raise an eyebrow when he looks at a person entering it. So, and that is where we need to make an impact. We all, the other associates, white collars, they any which ways know what to behave, how to behave, but are we even training the staff? Even a slight raise of eyebrow or even a slight laugh at looking at a people from a security guy or a cleaning houseboy may make an impact to that individual. So we are paying a lot of attention in such kind of changes, that hiring is one part, but giving them the right platform and training our internal associates to accommodate. So, sir, I think I was
very good. I think you can. I mean, this is as granular as you can get. I think change is all about being granular and being focused on the nitty-gritties of things. So wonderful. I think we have had a great discussion. I've taken the liberty of quizzing my panelists, a little provocatively at times.
But it's very clear that the change is here to stay. And you might be thinking that IIM Jammu is made up of all male board members. That's not true, because you don't see the photographs of two of our most accomplished board members. One is Ma'am Soma Mandal, who is the ex-chairman of SAIL. You can't get bigger than that. You know. And the other member is Ms. Vandana Bhatnagar, who has done a lot of work in the government. So we practice inclusivity at IIM Jammu thoroughly. We have taken steps to ensure that gender diversity exists, and we take all measures to ensure that everybody has a very fulfilling kind of a what I call stay at IIM Jammu. I thank my panelists for this invigorating discussion, and pardon me if I have, crossed the limits at times. Thank you so much, and have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Let's convene for a group photograph. Sir, I would request you to felicitate our panel members, starting with Mr. Ajay Brahmbhatt, sir.
Sorry.
Ms. Surya Saraf, ma'am.
Sorry for the
Mr. Manoj Sharma. Ms. Sonal Jain. Mr. Pavan Gangwani. Mr. Rajesh Balakrishnan. Ms. Swati Mishra.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Without further ado, let's move to our third and final panel discussion for the day. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed panelists to the stage, starting with the moderator of our panel, Dr. Shrikant Barve, Board of Governor member, IIM Jammu. Now, I'd like to invite our first guest, Mr. Pranay Garavar, Vice President, State Street. Mr. Pranay is working as the Vice President at State Street. He is an experienced operations manager with a demonstrated history of working in the investment banking and the venture industry. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Sangeeta Srivastav, CEO of Godavari Biorefineries. Ma'am is leading the corporate R&D for over 30 years. She holds an MSc, MPhil, and PhD in organic chemistry from the University of Mumbai and has an extensive expertise in chemistry, polymers, and organic chemistry. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Natasha Chander, AVP Lead Talent Engagement, IIFL. Ms. Natasha is a committed HR professional from XLRI Jamshedpur with 14 plus years of corporate industry experience, holding major corporate brands such as Larsen & Toubro, Tata Consultancy Services, Kotak Mahindra, etc. Next, I would like to welcome Mr. Kshitij Bhatnagar, who is the Director, People and Culture at Grant Thornton, Bharat. Sir has a remarkable 17-year-old HR experience globally, where he has managed pivotal roles across industries, across countries, including HR leadership at K&K Group at Hong Kong. His global HR impact is marked by excellence, leadership, innovation, and a dedication towards bringing a positive workplace culture. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Harini Srinivasan, who is the partner at Senkutet Institute. With over 27 years of experience in HR and organizational development, she is a partner at Senkotite Institute of India. She is a certified behavioral analyst, transactional analyst, and design thinking practitioner. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Kaustav Dhavse, OST to the Deputy Chief Minister, Government of Maharashtra. Mr. Kaustav oversees policy, investments, technology, and infrastructure through various programs and special projects. He is responsible for monitoring key state projects from 2014 to 2019. Dhavse sir worked as a GS and OST to the Chief Minister, facilitating projects worth Rs 1.8 lakh crore. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Malika Vyas, Head of HR, Tata Capital Housing Finance Limited. Ma'am is a seasoned HR leader with 25 plus years of experience in the financial services. She is currently the Head of HR at Tata Capital Housing Finance Limited, fostering a positive work culture. She has held leadership roles previously at IDBI Federal Life Insurance and more. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ramakrishna Vyajimala, CHRO of Home First Finance Company. Sir is a seasoned HR leader with over 2 decades of experience. He has been instrumental in driving talent strategies and building high-performing teams. Previously, at IDFC Bank, he held key roles such as Senior Director and Head of Rewards, HR Operations, and HR Technology, where he led teams and implemented advanced HR systems like PeopleSoft HRIS. Lastly, I would like to invite Mr. Sandeep Singh, DGM Commercial Head, Godrej and Boys. Mr. Sandeep brings over 30 years of diverse experience with 10 years as the key account management and 20 years in logistics. Currently, he manages supply chain for e-commerce and multiple locations. The third and final panel of the day delves into leadership and digital transformation. As we're all aware, the digital transformation marks significant milestones for a corporate, especially in the Indian corporate culture. Our panel, encompassing of dignitaries from several industries, shall share their insights on how corporate leadership can significantly contribute in light of digital transformation. So, let's keep the excitement high and welcome the panel on stage. Sir, I would request you to take this ahead.
Good afternoon. This is the third panel on digital transformation. I think every company and every organization is looking for more and more digital presence, internally and externally. It gives you more acceptance in the mind of people. It makes you remind them, it keeps on hammering them that this is a good brand or this is a good thing that is happening. This is a new concept. So I think nobody can stay away from the digital transformation. And I think today's theme is going to discuss about this. So I will like to understand from them how every organization looking at this new concept, what are the challenges faced by them, how are the different strategies they are being applying, how is the budget they are going to have. I'm just giving the questions so that you can choose one of the questions that you feel comfortable, because I think we are between the lunch, so I'm not going to take too much time in asking questions to everybody. And there is a challenges of cyber crime, cyber frauds are happening. So how digital transformation is being addressed by them for this cyber aspect. And I think the first question goes to the person on my left, Mr. Kaustav Dhavse. I think you are on a very senior advisory position, action position. You're in the driving role in the government of Maharashtra. How you are looking at this digital transformation and trying to get maximum benefits? Over to you.
Thank you so much. Let me first take the opportunity to thanking you, Shrikantji, and to IIM Jammu for giving me an opportunity to be here. I think before I start, I wanted to kind of spend 30 seconds on the earlier panel because I was truly mesmerized by the conversation and having a remarkable woman in my life, which is my wife. She is a very successful entrepreneur and has actually gone through several challenges while she was trying to make her presence felt. And I've always believed that what is extremely easy for men, it's probably 3,000 times more difficult for women, because people take a lot of time to really, try to kind of come in terms with women leadership. So thank you, IIM Jammu, for having this conversation. From a even from a number standpoint, 50% of India are women. So for every single segment within the political machinery also, I think women are a true and important representative in our democracy. Now, having said that, I'm going to move to the question that Shrikantji asked me. I think we are in an era where the whole world is actually wanting India to do well. And for India to do well, Maharashtra is the gateway to India's $5 trillion economy. So there is an increased responsibility on Maharashtra to deliver on the aspirations that have been set not only by the people, but globally. And it is an extremely challenging task. Governance, whether it's in government, whether it is in corporate, whether it is in the board of IIM Jammu, governance is not easy. It requires you to have a certain set conditions, and then you have to have a sense of commitment, conviction, and sponsorship to ensure that you deliver. For Maharashtra to deliver its goal and for people's aspirations to be fulfilled, technology is a very, very important enabler. Technology, the beauty of it is that it is by default inclusive. It doesn't differentiate between, let's say, Shrikantji or Aditi or somebody else. You are all in a queue and you're all going to get services on the basis of first in and first out. So technology teaches us a very important aspect of being inclusive. The second thing that technology does to you is that it gives you the ability to scale your systems. It is impossible for any government across the world to run an efficient, accountable, transparent, and inclusive governance without technology. So I believe that technology is an important play, but using technology and causing the necessary transformation is a process for which you need deep and long-term commitment. And that commitment comes right from the top. So I was very fortunate to have the ability to work with a remarkable leader like Mr. Fadnavis. So between 14 and 19, the two areas that I was responsible for was technology and infrastructure. And very early in our tenure as a government, we put together a system called as Aple Sarkar, which essentially translates as your government. And we put every single service online. We were aware of the fact that online doesn't mean manumation. It doesn't mean you convert your manual processes to automated processes. Online, the real spirit of online services is to really kind of re-engineer and make sure that people get their service and government is faceless. And I'm telling you, it's a very tough challenge because the systems that have been built, the bureaucracy that oversees the system, everybody expects that somebody asks them a question before even a certificate is delivered. And I think that comes a little bit from the mindset. I'm not saying that the mindset is only in government, it is there in, it's individual. So people are there everywhere. But in government, it's more profound because unfortunately, we haven't found a serious set of leaders to confront that problem and break the ice. And that's what we saw when Prime Minister Modi announced the Digital India Initiative. The Digital India Initiative was just an extension of whatever the governments have done in the past and give you a new fillip to be able to use technology, whether it is services, whether it is infrastructure, technology infrastructure, whether it is payments, and so on and so forth. So I would say that technology is a very important mainstay. Digital transformation is essential, but there are steps associated with that. And if I get an opportunity to speak again in the course of our conversation, I would want to lay down certain important metrics and steps that are necessary to make digital transformation successful.
Thank you, Kaustubh, for making us understand how government is thinking very differently and how it is going to play a very important role in India making a fight into the economy. I think it's not going to happen just by saying you need to have a lot of focus and strategy. And I think digital transformation is one of the key pillars to make it happen. So thank you for your inputs. To my right, Mr. Kshitish Bhatnagar is there, and you're from Grant Thornton. And Grant Thornton is a very famous brand across the world. And I think this has been discussed in the world quite ahead of time. For India, we're discussing for the last couple of years. How do you differentiate your Indian offices and your offices out of the country? How do you find a difference? Is there a lag, and how are you trying to overcome that?
Thank you, sir. Firstly, thank you for inviting us and giving us this opportunity to present ourselves and discuss about some of the very pertinent topics. So, talking about Grant Thornton, before deep diving into what are the differences, we'll talk about the commonality. So, the commonality is the culture. One of our colleagues did mention that culture eats strategy for breakfast. It definitely does, but if the strategy doesn't work, then by evening it does consume the culture for dinner. So, the strategy also has to be aligned. Talking about some of our global offices, one thing we've embarked on together is the digital transformation. So, understanding that the cultures are different, different geographies, demographics, and stuff. How do we create a sustainable system for the business to thrive and flourish? We thought, the very first thing has to be technology because it's always at the helm. I can also give an example of 2018, which was the year of awakening for us, so to say. We thought that our culture was good, but was it really great? So we ran a survey and we found out that it was actually just good enough, but not great. So then we embarked on a journey of starting with culture unfreezing. And as they say, it has to start from the top leadership. So starting with the CEO, COO, the global leaders, all of them ran through this unfreezing to sort of cultivate this habit of culture, being more receptive, being more agile, with some of the tier 2s and tier 3s. And then it ran to the tier 3 level, to the most what I would say the entry level of the organization. And that's how we ensure that each and every person was covered under the culture transformation. And with that, we now have sort of got into a constellation structure. So we don't have a pyramid, while there would be different designations, but they all are into mentorship roles. And we have constellation structure where each and everyone works together as a team. No sort of disparity between them. And through that, there have been reverse mentoring, like we were talking about in the first panel. Do we have a buddy system? Yes, we do have a buddy system, but we also have a reverse mentoring system. People at the tier 2 and tier 3 level also give suggestions, and the tier 1 has to be receptive to that. And through that, we've been able to implement AI and some of the technological things. Now, recently, there were a couple of cases in EY and some of the other firms. So how we are sort of tracking to ensure that it doesn't happen to our organization. Obviously, we have the support of Amaha and counseling and stuff like that. But through technology, we've been able to leverage onto, getting some meaningful data out of it. Like, what's our work-life balance? How many hours are people actually investing into work? How equitable is the distribution of work? Of course, men, women, and all the genders taken together. Are there any specific requirements? So we don't call it equitable, we call it equity, because we have to understand the needs of each and every individual and accordingly create that sort of a sustainable role. And that's again across the globe. So digital, I would say yes, all of us have embraced the changes, and we are still trying to fine tune it to ensure that it works in the best way.
Thank you for your insight, and I think this gives a lot of clarity how things are going to shape up and things are being handled differently. Tata Capital Housing Finance, Madam is there, Mallika Madam is there. So I would like you to share your thoughts. How are you addressing your strategy for digital transformation?
Thank you so much for having me on this panel. Uh, it's an interesting journey. In earlier conversations that we had, we spoke about, the buddyship and things like that. Similarly, journeys of these kind of transformation need reverse mentoring. And because a lot of the older generation is far, their proficiency levels on, digitization, the digital journeys are far, different than you see the younger generation. And that acceptance has been one of the greatest things that we have seen in the organization. And so when we start anything to do with the digitization journey, first we address the population that you will needs it most, and most of them will come in middle and senior management. And then we talk, and many of us in this journey have actually got mentored by, younger, much younger, much less experienced people on these journeys, and which has helped us tremendously. One, accepting that someone younger will actually have more knowledge and proficiency than you. Mindset, proficiency, they're far more proficient than most of us are. And that acceptance has made the journey easier for organizations such as ours. Thank you.
Yeah, we have one more company like Home First Finance Company. Mr. Ramkrishna is here, and I would like to hear your views. How are you looking at this?
Thank you. I think for us, digital has been not about grand changes. It has been about small, incremental, very effective changes that we can bring about. As an organization, we're, I think, one of the pioneers in ensuring absolute zero paper in a housing loan. I mean, from the time that a person wants a loan to actually getting the money in their account or the builder's account, there's absolutely zero paper used. 100% till the stage of a sanction, and almost 70% now till the stage of even disbursal. That means money coming into the account. And we have been able to do that because we've started questioning every piece of paper, and we said, okay, and that mindset starts from the top. And kept asking that question, why do you need this paper, and why do you need this paper? Can I replace it, use technology to replace it? What will be the repercussion of something like that? So when you start having that mindset across the organization, not just at the top, not just at the bottom, and start showing people that there is a benefit to it. So for example, I mean, we can come up with grandest of strategies, but if it makes the life of the last mile person miserable, they will not be able to adopt, right? It has to have what's in it for me in every stage. We can always come back and say, okay, the organization will thrive. I will be able to put it up on, on our advertisements and say, we are so and so, we are this great, we are that great. But if the last mile person will not benefit out of something like that, they would not adopt. And finally, it will fail. Any strategy that we pick up will fail. So two questions that we always used to ask whenever we looked at anything. We said, will it change anything? Will it have any repercussions? Because we are also in a regulated environment, so we'll have to ensure that all those rules, regulations, etc. are followed. And second is, what's in it for my last mile person? Will that last mile person have a life? Will the life of that person become better? And whenever the answer to both of them was yes, we would go ahead with it. So every activity, every action was, and that's how we've reached where we've reached today. I think leadership in that digital space came about over a period of time because of that. Thank you.
Yeah, we have Godavari Refinery, Biorefinery, Dr. Sangeeta Srivastava, madam. I would like to hear your views, how you see other side of the coin. Do you feel any challenges? Do you feel any difficulties? Do you feel any backlash by having things more on digital side? Something like cyber fraud or something like leakage of information available to the person is not supposed to have it.
Yeah, is this working? Yeah. So first of all, thank you, IIM Jammu, for inviting me on representing my company. Just coming to your question before that, I just wanted to kind of look at how digital transformation in the normal world is happening, which actually recently one incident happened and which shocked me of this. I was quizzed by an investor kind of it, and he asked me, you do this process, you make this molecule, and there are 7 routes. Why did you choose this route? So I said, are you a chemist? He said, no, but I just put this question in chat GPT and I got all the answers. I was shocked. I said, like, look, the world has changed and I don't know how it is like going to be. So when you talk about the cyber crime and cyber security, I think being a chemical company, definitely this is kind of a threat. But we have to be ready with this. So we are kind of in India, we have Indian Chemical Council, where we have to sign for responsible care, where I think in India there are more than 5,000 companies, but hardly less than 100 companies are signatory to this responsible care. So this is such an important thing because the chemicals are such molecular thing which can harm the environment, the people, and everybody. So the cyber security for the chemical segment is looked at very differently, and definitely there is a threat. But I think what I look at a positive side, there are a lot of things happening. The AI coming in picture where we probably can kind of make a fence where we say that, okay, these are the things which cannot be done by certain type of people.
Thank you for it. State Street, Mr. Pranay Gaharwar is here. I would like to understand from you how the digital transformation is measured by you in the organization. How are you really comparing? How is the progress happening every year and year?
Thank you for that, asking this question. First of all, I would thank IIM Jammu for giving me this opportunity and to share with this all the delegates of mine, and Professor Sahai for reminding me those days of IIM Trichy. I am from ex-IIM Trichy, alumni of IIM Trichy, and I saw that library, which reminds our library. It resembles the same. So it was really nice to see that library. Now, coming to the question of now in our organization, yes, there is a point of leadership is really giving this point, and we believe in this concept that vision has to be there. Now, if you have a vision, definitely we can go. Many times what happened that when we say that innovation in technology, only for a simplification, but there are the other points also where the coin has got a two face. So one other coin is that the, like they mentioned, that cyber crime is also happening. Like one of my panelists has just mentioned, that there is a simplifications in documentations which really push up the business. So that is a really thing which is really innovative, and these innovations is a good. But in our organizations, likewise, where I mentioned that vision has to be there, and then when we think of a vision, we have to set a goals. The goals, we cannot have the goals at our end. The goals has to be commenced from the business, that is from the ground level. You should have a communications with the team. Adaptability is also the most important thing, which is defined by many of the panelists as agility. And now second, the point is that when we say that some technology has to be there, implemented, we have got many things. I've been there in State Street almost 15 years. And I've seen that career-wise, if we say, the technology has innovated more things. We have come, when we are having a systems where we used to manually push some things, trades and all. Now, there is nothing as such. It is going automatically from our end. We just need to log in and then we have to perform certain tasks. So these are the things which are really push ourselves. On the leadership point, yes, projects are there, and we have to see the cost effectiveness also, because when we go, as you rightly asked the first question, the cost effective has to be there. So whatever the business has to be successful, it has to go with the cost. If it is not going to involve the cost, then it is not going to survive. So best part is that we always go, whenever we have to plan, we have to prepare a project plan, we have to come up with the cost, and second, the innovations, how is going to benefit the efficiency gain. That's it from my side.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have IIFL Finance, Natasha Madam is here, and I would like to understand from you, how is the budgeting being done at IIFL for a budget for the transformation? How much funds are allocated? How do you measure the progress outcome of that?
Thank you for the question. To begin with, I'd like to thank IIM Jammu for hosting me here. It's really a privilege, and the previous panelists have been fantastic. I also want to acknowledge we are sitting between you and lunch. So, but having said that, I'd like to start with a little bit about IIFL. You know, where IIFL Finance is 1995 established. We're a 60,000 crore plus revenues with 3,300 plus branches pan India, some in the remotest of locations, and with an employee strength of almost 30,000. So, you know, the obvious thing that comes to mind is technology. Technology connecting our people, technology connecting our customers, and having that synergy between the two in an ever evolving, you know, technologically advanced landscape. And having said that, it becomes very important for us to be very clear from a leadership standpoint as to what is it that we want to achieve year on year, and how we want to get there, and how technology can leverage us to get to that point. So I think our founders, our managing directors have always been pro technology from the day one, and also considering the line of business that we are in, with the kind of employee strength and with the aggressive market, aggressive competition rather in the NBFC sector. The only one, you know, I would say USP or leverage that we've always had is our connect with our customers through technology. So right from our, you know, branch, you know, irrespective of the location, it could be a Nagarkoil in Tamil Nadu, or it could be a Raha in Assam, or whichever other location our branch spread outs are there. The consistent experience that a customer would have when they walk in and walk out is absolutely has been stellar for us. And that's something that we've always prided ourselves on. And likewise, you know, a customer entering a branch, be it a tablet, facial recognition that happens, be it our vault management systems, and et cetera, that we've always, you know, front-ended when we've kind of pitched for business. The same thing goes for our employees. You know, so employee experience. So I had the employee experience vertical for IIFL Finance, and I think the endeavor that we're getting closer and closer and closer to is on one click of a button, or max to max 2 clicks of a button. Can we enable that employee experience for our people? So having this as the backdrop, to scale projects, whether it's AI, whether it's ML chain, whether it's robot, or for that matter, digital, you know, digital banking. And we have a very robust technology team that supports us pan India. And also one thing that I'd like to mention is that technology and innovation is not restricted to just the technology team. It is something that's expected in the DNA of every employee of IIFL. That you know, if that's the kind of image that you put up with, then that's how you deliver the experience to your customer. You deliver that seamless stealth, that agility to your customer if you have your wherewithal in the banking industry, in the NBFC industry, to know what's the trend, to know what's happening, and also to be up to date in what's happening within the organization. So these are some of the tools from a HR standpoint, how we enable our employees to serve our customers better by providing them tools internally and equipping them with digital literacy. So we invest in all these things, and it's paid off for us, continues to pay off for us. Till a few months ago, we've been the second, you know, in second pan India NBFC in the country. So like I said, we measure our budgets, we measure our outcomes based on our customer experience. So our employees talk customer experiences, our support functions, we talk customer experience. We don't restrict it to just an engagement survey or a, you can say a GPTW survey. And I think another way in which you measure your outcome is really how you stand as a brand. What is your brand presence? What are the recognitions that you achieve in the market? How are you being, what kind of lists are you making it to? I think these are all very large scale strategic outcomes that as an organization we would look at from a input output standpoint. That's from my side. Thanks.
My question to you, to Harini ma'am, and at your organization, did you have any difficult situation where you feel this is the learning and you need to incorporate into your manual and improve your strategy to make a digital transformation?
So let me give a little bit of context about what kind of work we do. So we are a consulting company, and a lot of experience that I will be sharing is what I've experienced in my client organizations. There isn't much to talk about our experience in my own organization. So that's a little bit of context. So we carry out organizational transformation, end-to-end transformation. So we pick up mid-sized, large-sized organizations. We help them in moving away from traditional ways of working to contemporary ways of working. So agile transformation is a huge part of it. Now, having said that, the challenges that occur in this transformation, especially when we are trying to build in a fertile ground for happen, one thing that we have noticed is that wherever digital transformation is merely digitization or automation of processes without touching upon the cultural aspect, it does not lead to any great outcome. It just leaves people feeling a little more threatened because of severe amount of digitization. So what do we do? So a simple way for me to explain the challenge and how digital transformation can really make that change is this. We are all familiar with the iceberg of ignorance. I think that's a very popular model. Strategy is visible 100% to top management. And by the time it trickles down, the bottom of the workforce understands or knows only 4% of the strategy. So that's what is the iceberg of ignorance. Now, I have my own personal twist to it. When we work with the people in our client organizations on the ground, we notice that the iceberg of ignorance has an upside down story as well. 100% of problems on the ground is known only to people in the bottom of the pyramid. And by the time the information goes to the top management, they only experience 4% of it. Now, if there is technology that can actually bridge this gap, then we can say that digital transformation is really transforming the way businesses work. But unfortunately, technology is still at the surface. It is trying to simplify complex manual processes and bring in automation. But are we really opening up strategy 100% to people on the ground to an extent that they can understand and respond? And are we really using technology to open up 100% of the problems on the ground to top management so that they can strategize differently? If you're not yet there, I think digital transformation is still at the surface. So this is my experience from what I see in my client organizations.
Godrej Boyd, Mr. Sandeep ji is there, and I would like to understand from you at Godrej how you measure every individual on the digital transformation. How is his value addition? How is his positivity, creativity, and how you respond them? How you measure? How you give them a return on that?
Thank you, Shrikant sir. So first of all, Shrikant sir was looking at me that he is a last person. Yes, in most of the cases, the people look at us because we are handling logistics, and which comes at the last. And, so whether it is a primary logistics or the secondary, it's always at the back end of the cycle, product cycle, we say. And sir, as Sahai sir has touched in his opening remarks, that the pandemic was a period where many things have developed and the collaboration has happened. So yes, sir, that was the time when the technology itself has to be touched, has to be faced in a very closed manner. When the people were locked at home, then that was the time for exploring the various possibility. So, where one hand, uh, you need to protect the life of the people by giving them the space, the private space. At the same time, you have, as an organization, there are certain social responsibility which we have to carry, and that has been also carried. And here I would like to mention, sir, that yes, the pace on which the government has also supported during that tough time is a remarkable. I mean, it is like fast moving consumer goods were always the part of this essential goods, but yes, the fast moving consumer durables, which we are majorly in that segment. So that was the possibly the first organization where the sanctions was given, and within 48 hours of the whole lockdown, because we have to make that hospitals and various clinics to work. So it is all around then how we were coping up, and with the help of by leveraging the technology which is available at home, sir. This is one, sir. And secondly, once we are talking about the transformation, so in the large scale, and if we look into the size or the each of the organizations, so I was hearing the numbers of 125 I have heard and 140 I have heard. So we are just in between. We are 13 years younger and completing 127 years of the organization, and it is all pride association with the organization. And there lot many things. One, it is a size, then you have to educate the people in all the levels, as I have mentioned, training the people especially in the logistics, then on the technology is something challenging. But at the same time, once the program has been given, once the complete vision has been given, ki this is what is expected, and whether this is for improving the operational efficiency or it is for the customer centricity, and if you are able to link that with the people, then yes, that your communication or your half effort is already been done. And similarly, the cultural fabric of any organizations plays a pivotal role about the success of the organization, and how faster we want to include, as we have heard in the last session, sir. So how we can include the most of the people, whether it is a workman, whether it is a floor person, how we can include everyone into that. So it is the more important part of it. Besides technology we are using for scaling up our operations. Today, the e-commerce has become the hard fact of the market, and it is a place where our presence is also needs to be. So yes, conventionally, where we were present for the last 125 years, we were restricted to somewhere around 2,000 plus pin codes, where with the help of technology and with the help of our people and scaling up that operations, proudly we can say that today we are reaching the house at the 16,000 pin codes plus on the pan India basis. So this is all is getting possible, sir, with the help of technology, as well as the care of or the people and the respect towards the society as well as the individuals. And at logistics, sir, we believe always in one thing, that always build trust and be responsible towards the society and towards the people. That is the.
Thank you, Sandeep. I think one of the very, very prominent and very bold experience we had is the COVID. And during COVID times, the whole economy, the whole daily routine, the household, the things were happening because of the digital economy. It is the banking, online banking. We were able to transfer money from one end to other end. We were able to purchase things. I think this, I could not imagine if this digital transformation or this digital flow of money would not be there. the COVID would have been much deeper impact, and it would have been much more painful for us. So I think digital life is very important, is very beneficial, is very helpful. And I think every organization, all the panelists who are sitting here with me, I think they expressed how their commitment is towards making the organization more digital, how they are planning to make it a more the part of a life in a very easy fashion. So I thank you all the panelists and to IIM Jammu for making this important subject to bring a panel to discuss. So thank you very much.
I would now like to request Sir to stand up. Let's take a group picture and then we can felicitate. So maybe begin with the felicitation. Yes, sir. So let's begin from here. Mr. Pranay, sir. Dr. Sangeeta, ma'am. Miss Harini, ma'am. Mr. Ramakrishna. Mr. Shikil Patnagar. Mr. Kaustav Dutse. Miss Malika Vyas. Mr. Sandeep K. Singh. Miss Natasha Chandel. Thank you to everyone. It was indeed an insightful panel. As we come to the end of an exhilarating yet insightful day, I should like to thank each and everyone present here. Now, I would like to welcome Professor Baljeet Singh Sir, Co-Chairperson Placements IIM Jammu, to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good afternoon to everyone, respected dignitaries, panel members, and participants. As we draw this enlightening conclave to a closure, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who has been a part of this event. At the very first outset, I would like to thank our respected chairman, Dr. Milind Kamble sir, who has been the guiding force for all these events and activities we organize at IIM Jammu. I would also like to thank our board members, Mr. Anand Kirpalu sir, Mr. Shrikant Badwe sir, and Mr. Lalit Kumar Naik sir for their continuous support and guidance. Similarly, I would like to thank Professor BSI, our director sir, for all his support and execution behind these events. I sincerely extend my thanks to our panel members for the insightful discussions and contributions. And thanks to all the participants for their engagements and contributions. A special thanks to my organizing team here at Mumbai and back home at IIM Jammu. Your hard work behind the scene is greatly appreciated. And thanks to all the panel members and all the participants. And we look forward to your presence at IIM Jammu and in our other future events. Thank you. Thank you once again. May I request everyone to rise for the national anthem, please?
अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल वंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे